Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the January 16th, 2018 Board of Supervisors meeting to order. Supervisor Brennan, would you please lead us in the pledge of the flag?
It would be my honor. Please join me in a salute to our flag. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, this is oral communication time. You may speak on any item that is not on the printed agenda. No action may be taken by the board.
Good morning. At the January 9th Board of Supervisors meeting during public comment on the consent calendar, a challenge was raised to Supervisor Rotifer's request for board approval of $4,500 in out-of-state travel expenses for him to attend 3 conferences. While I strongly agree with the board that it is essential to conduct Tuolumne County's business at the state and national scale, there are urgent critical needs going unattended here at home, and those needs must take priority over a supervisor's discretionary travel. Supervisor Rotifer submitted a request for $4,500 in travel expenses, despite the county claiming to not have the funds to conduct a mandatory annual roadside vegetation management program for fire hazard risk reduction, due to a lack of state and federal funding sources. Meanwhile, rampant overgrowth of roadside vegetation engulfed Supervisor Rotifer's District 5 last summer, posing an enormous fire hazard risk to the citizens of his district and to Sonora, the economic heartbeat of the county. Based upon the consent calendar vote of January 9th, the county clearly has plenty of money to spend for its supervisors to attend out-of-state conferences. The county also clearly had plenty of money to pay a fine after its roads department was investigated for negligently spraying prohibited pesticides near privately owned wellheads during its haphazardly conducted 2016 roadside vegetation management program. Local government funds must be much more effectively and responsibly used. Despite citizen opposition accurately asserting that $4,500 equals roughly 10% of the entire $40,000 to $50,000 annually required for the county to conduct a roadside vegetation management program, Supervisor Rotifer's request was nevertheless approved by this board last week. All this valuable travel that Supervisors Hanvelt and Rotifer felt compelled to vigorously defend from the dais at last week's board meeting did nothing to protect an untold number of county residents from having a negligent roads department spray prohibited pesticides near their private wellheads. This negligent spraying by the roads department of a mixture containing 2 prohibited pesticides occurred not once, but twice in March 2016, in the short span of a 2-week period on this board's watch. All of this valuable travel did nothing to protect county residents from the risk or anxiety of roadside vegetation origin wildfires last summer on this board's watch. All this valuable travel has not yet funded, to my knowledge, a county roadside vegetation management program for fire hazard risk reduction for 2018. District 5 Supervisor Rotifer may anticipate being held to account to explain why he has refused to meet with his constituents regarding multiple wellhead violations committed by the County Roads Department against private property in his district. Thank you for your attention this morning.
Good morning. I'm Chris Day from the Friends of the Tuolumne County Library, and I would like to wish you all Happy New Year. Looking back, 2017 was a good year for the Tuolumne County Library. 59% of the county's residents have library cards. Children's reading and activity programs were well attended in all of our branches. The summer reading program set new records for attendance and number of hours children spent reading. And in July, we celebrated the library's 100th anniversary. In September, you voted to continue funding the library so that staff and programs were not cut. In November, you appointed Deborah Sampson to the position of library director. 2017 was definitely a good year. I urge you to make 2018 an even better year for the library by including the library in the 5-year plan. As you know, the library branches are community hubs. In addition to connecting people to information, They connect people to people. They are safe havens for kids when school is not in session. They provide computer access for those without. The bookmobile and community outreach programs keep those living in remote areas or those who are housebound connected to the larger community. Our library system serves people of every age, income level, location, ethnicity, and physical ability. The system provides the full range of information resources to enhance residents' quality of life. By reinstating the library to the 5-year plan, the board would show Tuolumne County residents that it values the services the library provides. This action would also provide clear direction for our new library director and her staff. The library just celebrated a century of service and commitment to the residents of Tuolumne County. I urge the board members to commit to sustainable funding for the library and to ensure that the library will continue to meet the ever-changing needs of our community. Thank you for your consideration.
Let's not fight now.
Good morning, Board. My name is Jason Kike, and I am the Forest Supervisor of the Stanislaus National Forest. And Happy New Year. And let me say that 2018 is looking to be a wonderful, wonderful year. And so the purpose of my being here this morning is to say that I have in my hands a signed copy of the Master Stewardship Agreement that you all approved just a few short weeks ago. And so now it's a matter of taking this set of paper and putting it into action. And we will be working with you throughout the course of this year and for years to come to make sure that the landscape around us remains beautiful, is resilient to wildfires, insects, and disease, and will be a place that people come and enjoy for decades and, well, centuries to come, as well as provide clean, fresh water, habitat for wildlife, plants, etc. And so I just wanted to make sure that you all knew that this is now signed. We are ready to work with you, and we will keep you informed. But please do not hesitate to contact us at any time. And that's Scott or myself. That's anybody on the forest, and we will be looking forward to working with you. So congratulations, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Daniel Richardson, Deputy County Administrator. Just in December, the board approved putting the flagpole in the center of Courthouse Park. With that, I'm just letting the citizens know that if they would like to contribute towards installing the flagpole, they can contact the County Administrator's office, and we have a trust fund set aside. We will place these funds. We've already received a donation plus the board members, and we've also have an engineering firm who's said they will help us to design the installation. So it's a great community effort. Thank you.
And they came and absconded Wilson, and I didn't even get a final date. Don't cry, because you'll make me cry. And then I want to say thank you that you are not the Calaveras County Board of Supervisors and keep kicking the can down the road, can't make a decision, can't represent your constituents, and we are all very lucky that you all can get along and deal with the issues, even when it's not unpleasant. And then to the public, I would say there was a Finance Committee meeting last Friday, and as I recall, I think I was the only person there that wasn't a stakeholder or had a only member of the public. So if you care about how your money's been spent, that's the place to show up. So I wanted to come back and talk about trash and recycling, but that kind of got preempted by some recent events in our community. So I'm going to go on my soapbox like I did at the last big meeting. So freedom of speech used to seem so reasonable, not easy, but reasonable. And freedom of speech meant everyone got their say. You didn't have to agree with it, you didn't even have to listen, but people got to speak. During the past 20 or so years, we've moved from participating in conversation and debate about issues of public interest and concern to living in bubbles where we only really listen to people and ideas we already agree with. Facebook and Twitter feeds and news organizations born of political interest compete for followers rather than readers or viewers. We need to behave like the adults we are and treat each other with civility and respect, even when we don't like what we hear. And I was disheartened this past weekend that we had a nationally recognized woman of influence come to our community to speak to any and all that became a standing room only crowd of people. Before she even said a word to us, she was maligned, insulted, blamed and shamed, lied about, and treated in a viciously vile, discourteous, and disrespectful manner by a group of our friends and neighbors and their imported friends. The things that were written about this on local social media were so vile and so evil prior to the event. Why would anyone want to come to our community and share with us if this is how they are going to be treated? What was truly astonishing to me was a Tuolumne County supervisorial candidate standing out participating in this protest instead of standing up for and participating in free speech and civil discourse. Everyone has a right to speak out and express their views and even their ignorance. We can agree to disagree, but we don't have to be ugly and disagreeable about it. To the speaker's credit, she championed those who disagreed, and they were invited to sit down and have a discussion with her. And some did. I did not, however, see this supervisorial candidate at the table. So once again in this new year, I would like to suggest that we make some effort to become a community of civility. There is no reason that we cannot have discussions that are courteous, respectful, and informative. The nastiness perpetuated by social media, the writers to letters of the editor, and online comments on the Union Democrat website, as well as something to think about from Clark Broadcasting, continue to turn my stomach and do not contribute anything more than toxic vitriol. We need to stand up and say we will not tolerate this and elevate the conversations where everyone is free to speak their mind and we can agree to disagree without sinking into the gutter. Most of us have been taught that first we take the plank out of our own eye and then you will clearly see to remove the speck from your brother's eye. So once again, I would like to ask the Board of Supervisors, county department heads, and employees to stand up for more civil and respectful conversations and refuse to appear on programming and in the local media until is there a commitment to the community that our citizens will not be personally maligned in community discussions. You are our leaders.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, based on one of the previous public comments, I would like to ask staff to come back and give a presentation on a public presentation in a board meeting on the entire process, both legal and administrative, that went on with respect to the wellheads and the spraying in my district.
Okay. Please come forward. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Gray, members of the board. It's a beautiful day in Tuolumne County, and I'm excited to see all the awesome stuff you guys are doing in this county. This is a county of action, and PG&E is pleased to be a part of that. I'm Thomas Reeves with PG&E, and this morning I'm here to solidify our relationship with your Economic Development Association. PG&E has had a long-standing and very healthy and prosperous relationship with your Economic Development Association, and Larry has done a fantastic job at the helm, and we're all very pleased with our ongoing relationship. We want to keep that relationship going with a contribution, and I'm here this morning to present a check, the ceremonial big check to Larry and his group for our contribution. And actually, this contribution represents an increase this year, and we anticipate great things from this county in terms of economic development, and we want to be a part of it. And so I just wanted to come this morning to present this check to Larry and to the county, to you all, for your excellent work in terms of growing the economy in this county. So thanks very much for your participation in that. And here is the check for $8,000 to Larry and to your county for your work in economic development. So thank you
very much.
Thank you very much, PG&E. We've had a long and standing relationship with PG&E, and we've worked together on many things, not only here locally in Tuolumne County, but regionally. I am very thankful for the contribution that they've made this year. We will contribute this to our attraction campaign. A vast majority of this will be spent on trying to bring new businesses to the county, but we're also focusing on a regional housing summit that we're currently working on right now to help affordable housing, workforce housing, and low-income housing. So you'll see that come out over this next year, but I want to again thank PG&E for the contribution they made today. Thank you.
Thank you. One last public member. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Randy Henvelt. While I am a supervisor, I'm also a member of the public, and we all take the privilege of complaining, and that's a good thing because we find out about things we wouldn't otherwise know about. But rarely do we take the obligation to say thank you and to compliment people for a job well done. This was a holiday weekend for the public, and I hope they enjoyed it. But I want you to know that your staff on the county staff, particularly the sheriff's office, this was not a holiday weekend for them. I got a number of calls this weekend, and I transferred them when I could to the appropriate people. Sunday morning, I won't give you all the details because I think much of it's confidential, but a woman that was in a lot of distress over her son who had some issues. And our jail commander, our sheriff, our undersheriff, behavioral health stepped in and got that taken care of, and got it taken care of on a very short notice. And I can't say enough about them. The sheriff's office responded to 2 other issues that came up to me, and and by the way, I don't want to leave out animal control. They're on another one for me too with the sheriff's office. And I just can't say enough about how responsive our staff has been to these issues, and they don't honor holidays. And we can be proud of our sheriff's office. So I had to tell you that because if I did that at reports, no one would be here to hear it. That's really what it amounts to. So thank you very much, Mr. Sheriff, Behavioral Health, and Animal Control.
Anyone else? Seeing no one, would the clerk please read the consent calendar?
Minutes of the meeting held on January 9th, 2018, and accepting the resignation of Roy Patterson and Lori Spees from the Tuolumne County Commission on Aging, directing the clerk to post a notice of vacancy and send letters of appreciation.
Any public comment on the consent calendar? Bring it back to the board.
Move on consent.
We have a motion by Supervisor Roeder for second by Supervisor Royce. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Passes 5-0. Clerk, please read item number 3.
Consideration of authorizing the Tuolumne County Fire Department to apply for the Assistance to Firefighter Grant and approving a memorandum of understanding with the Groveland Community Service District and Jamestown Fire Protection District.
Good morning, Chairman of the Board, other board members, county staff, Paul Avila, County Fire. Well, I come before you today to seek approval to submit a Assistance to Firefighter Grant on behalf of County Fire and also in conjunction with the Groveland Community Service District and Jamestown Fire Protection District. We'd like to submit a grant for the self-contained breathing apparatus. Self-contained breathing apparatus is the packs that we carry in our backs that we use anytime we go into any kind of dangerous environments. We put the packs in service in 2006, which we were part of a regional grant with all the departments in the county. And those packs have a lifespan. The bottles can only be hydro-tested for 15 years. After 15 years, they go away. The rest of the pack is also aged as well. So our goal is to submit a grant on behalf of the 3 agencies. And part of the requirements for the grant is a MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding, which was signed by the Jamestown Fire Protection District on January 5th, and the Groveland Community Service District on January 8th. The MOU also has been reviewed and approved as formed by the County Council. The amount of the grant is $650,000 is what we're going to submit for. I didn't put a dollar amount on here of what the 10% match is, as there is a 10% match. If we're approved with this grant, I will come back before the board with the exact amount that we receive and what the cost for the match is. If we receive everything that we ask for, the county fire portion would be about $515,000, so about a $51,000 match. So not a bad deal if we're approved. If we're not approved, we'll definitely go back for this next year. But we're going to have to come up with a plan on replacing these packs by 2021. That's staff's recommendation that your board authorize the Tuolumne County Fire Department to apply for the Assistance of Firefighter Grant in the amount of $650,000 for the purchase of self-contained breathing apparatus. Enter into a memorandum of understanding related to this grant with Groveland Community Service District and Jamestown Fire Protection District, and authorize the county administrator to sign on behalf of the county. Any questions?
Any questions? Seeing no questions, any public comment?
Well, I have a question, and that's how many spaghetti dinners do you plan to have to help raise money for this match?
It's a good question. I'll work on that one.
Okay, bring it back to the board.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move on staff recommendation here. I think we need to support our firefighters. They need the equipment.
I'll second that.
Motion by Supervisor Hanveld, second by Supervisor Brennan. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Passes 5-0. Thank you. Would clerk please read item 4?
Consideration of approving the allocation of the CAL FIRE local assistance for tree mortality grant.
That thing resets itself.
Good morning. Tracy Riggs, County Administrator's Office, and with me is Ethan Bidlickmeyer with Office of Emergency Services. So the item before you today is something that we brought before you actually last November on a very high level. We're back here today asking for your approval for two things. One of those is allocation of the grant funds, and the other one is to authorize an authorized signatory. But first, let's get into the details here. In November, we came before you and let you know that a grant opportunity would be coming forward from CAL FIRE, which was the Local Assistance for Tree Mortality Grant. This grant is actually come about to make up the 25% match that's required under the California Disaster Assistance Act. Surprisingly enough, so far, there are still only a handful of counties who've been doing any tree mortality work because other counties have not come up with the match for that type of work. So this will allow those counties to now begin doing something in their communities that we've been doing for almost 2 years. So if you look at the memo here, the objective of this grant is to increase the pace and scale of tree mortality projects across the 10 high hazard zone counties. The way that the funds were allocated, $3 million, there were $6 million total. $3 million were allocated based on $300,000 per county of the 10 high hazard zone counties. And then the remaining $3 million was allocated based on the number of dead trees in each county. You will see once again that Tuolumne County is number 2 in the amount of the distribution of these funds, with Fresno being the top county. They have, unfortunately, more dead trees than we do. So with this grant, your board has the authority to make funds available to other agencies who also qualify for California Disaster Assistance Act. We have two agencies who are here today. We have TUD and Twain Harte Community Services District, who have continually participated in the local tree mortality task force and have continually been a support and a partner for our county. And they've done this, as you know, through drought and now into tree mortality. So we had asked if they wanted to participate in the grant, that they would submit a formal letter for your board to review. Those are attached in your packet. The amount that they have asked for, TUD has requested $203,418, and Twain Harte CSD is requesting $57,500. You will see for both of these, it is work that has already taken place this year. And for Twain Harte, it is to cover a certain amount that they anticipate they would need for next year as well, or for future work. What I want to do is take you through some detail of what have we expended so far, what do we expect that we might need to do, and what would that leave left over based on the amount of allocation you might want to make available to other agencies in our county. So far, you will see that we have spent this fiscal year $991,549 on CDAA-eligible tree mortality projects. That does contain direct staff time. It does not contain indirect staff time, and I'll get into that here in just a second. The match for that $991,000 is $247,887. That would leave remaining grant funds of $558,765. Now, what I want to talk about is the administrative allowance, just very briefly. CDAA does allow for a 10% administrative allowance. It's automatic based on the amount of reimbursement requests we put in. For example, if we submit a request for $500,000, we get a 10% allowance for administrative costs of $50,000. You may or may not remember when we originally came before you asking to hire analysts to help this with our drought and tree mortality and the storms. We said we would use that 10% to fund those various projects that need to take place. But there's a lot of indirect time that happens that's only covered with that 10%. The reason I'm bringing that up is it can be significant, but it's not been factored into to reduce that 25% share of cost, because I still have to carry that forward into future months to cover the rest of their indirect time. My point in all of that is that 25% match could be a little bit less based on the 10% administrative allowance that we receive from CDAA. An example of that, you remember we brought to you a hazard mitigation plan that had been updated that took significant amount of time. Your 3 analysts and OES took that on. They wrote it completely, worked with all 22 jurisdictions because we're one of them, and all of that would be considered indirect time. So that's an example of what we use that 10% admin for. So back to what is it that we might need to carry on the work that we've been doing. As we told you, we've spent $991,000 so far this year. We anticipate we could spend another $250,000 on CDAA. That doesn't mean that's all the work we're going to do. We still have about $2.2 million of CAL FIRE SRA funds that need to be spent. We have a year to do that. The staff will be concentrating on getting that work done over the next 12 months. Doesn't mean that the roadway work won't continue, but we need to make sure we get that all of the, you may remember SRA covers trees that may fall on someone's home and also trees along non-county maintained roads. So they've been spending a lot of time getting those ROEs out to the community and getting projects developed, and they'll really be concentrating over that over the next few months or next 12 months. What that means is as we shift to SRA, the CDAA will slow down a tad, but we are continuing to get those right of entries out as well. So if you were to take the 806,652, that is what our allocation is for Tuolumne County. You subtract out the $991, which is what we spent already this year, it leaves the $558,765. If we were to take the match that would be required to do another $250,000 or $250,000 worth of work, that would be a match of $62,500, leaving the $297,847 to carry forward into future fiscal years. That also is taking into account, I'm sorry, I'm looking to make sure I'm going the right, I am. Sorry. So that $297,847 takes into account fully funding the requests submitted by TUD and Twain Harte CSD. So if you take in what we think we would spend this fiscal year, the 2 requests from our 2 local agencies, we carry forward into the 18-19 year $297,847. What I'm asking your board today is to make a decision on how much you'd like to allocate. You can allocate the full amount. You can allocate a portion of that amount. there are some different examples down below. If we were only to carry forward after we did our 25% share of cost for the rest of this year, you would have, I'm sorry, it's a $235,000 for next fiscal year. That would limit, we do one of two things. Either we stop tree mortality work once we spend that, or your board could direct that we would look at general fund for that share of cost for the match. And so today we look to you to provide direction on the amount you would like to allocate to, if any, to any of the local agencies. And I'm also asking that you would make the county administrator or the assistant county administrator your authorized signatories for this grant and all related documents.
Any questions for staff?
Mr. Chairman, so, first of all, let me just comment that that the public needs to be very proud of the tree mortality effort done here in Tuolumne County. We lead the state. We've made it almost routine. The only thing that's never routine is getting people to sign those right of entry permits. And so if you get one in the mail or you got dead trees, figure out how to give us permission to do what we need to do to help you. That's the first comment. But our team has done such a good job. They made it almost routine. We are the example for the rest of the state. That's why they've done this. This money really comes out of the effort that we have put forth to get the 25% 25% matching done, and CAL FIRE basically did that. The only problem they did is they only made it retroactive to July of last year, which, being ahead of the game, means we covered some of that ourselves, and others may not have done it. Some counties are just getting started. That's how good your team is. We need to find my comment here is we need to find a way to spend this additional money in the time allotted, and the team includes TUD, the team includes PG&E, includes Caltrans, includes Twain Hart, includes everybody that has a problem in our county, and we're making our county safer for the people that live here and the people that visit here. So this is really important. So when it comes down to it, I think the general fund does not have a lot of extra money. In fact, we don't have any extra money to speak of. So, I mean, I hate to be as cold about that. So we need to cover what we can in the general fund, and then with whatever else we can do there, I think it's important that we share with TUD and Twain Hart, because they're doing the job for us and for our constituents just as well. So that's kind of where I am in general on this thing. But I do want to say congratulations to the team and all the participants. They're doing a great job. And it's hard to maintain urgency when you do this day in and day out and keep it going. But we got to do that as routine as it becomes. So thanks to the team.
So the question is, by staff, is looking at our crystal ball, how much money is that? Staff, do you have a recommendation on how much that is?
I'm sorry, and how much, what is the recommendation to allocate?
Yeah, how much money are we going to need and not have to, not have to affect the general fund?
In the second paragraph on page, I think it's page 1, 2, 3, 4 of, it's the last page of the memo. What we've been using is about $300,000 to $350,000 in match. If we were to continue next year or even into the following year at the same pace and scale of what we've been doing this year, we would need probably $350,000 to be able to do that level of work. Which, on that last page, one of the alternative recommendations or suggestions for the board is you could make a decision to fund their request at 50%, which would give us $365,000 to carry forward. But that, again, would only give us 1 year of 18-19. I don't know, I really don't know where we will be in 19-20 with dead trees. But this grant, and because this grant is paired with CDAA, the assumption and direction we're getting from the state is that CDAA will be available through that January of 2020. So 21.
And that would be another grant cycle?
well, I don't know that we'll have any other funds, but CDAA is, again, is that 75% reimbursement with a 25% match. And that means we would have two full years from today to carry that forward. So, yeah, it's a hard.
Did you have anything? Okay, I'll ask for some public comment now. Anybody in the public wish to speak?
Good morning, members of the board. I'm Tom Trott, General Manager for Twain Harte Community Services District. Yeah, I just really wanted, I know we're here for the request, but I really wanted to just echo Supervisor Hanvelt's comments. The efforts that have gone on in this county with county staff, county OES, and all the agencies involved is really nothing short of incredible. It's just another reason why it's such an awesome place to live in Tuolumne County, is we all come together when things get bad. And so, I just wanted to say thank you to your board and to your staff, and especially, I don't know if you knew this, but this money wasn't even available to other local agencies, except for probably what Tracy Riggs has done at the state level in advocating for our agencies. And so I want to just say thank you. I want to say thank you for your consideration of this. We've taken out 433 trees in Twain Harte. I don't know if you've been to Twain Harte recently, but it used to be when you looked out over the arch, it was just a wall of red and orange trees. And now when you go there, it's not like that at all. Our community is safer. The trees we took out were to protect our water and sewer facilities, but a lot of them also impacted private residences, county roads even. A lot of the trees that we did, this has been truly a team effort. So I just want to thank you for your consideration of this. We're in the same boat, and so is TUD as all of you. None of this is budgeted. None of this was expected. This is all something we have to dig deep into our coffers to do. And we spent about $230,000 so far, which is not nearly as much as you have or TUD, but we're a lot smaller as well. But every bit helps. So I just appreciate your consideration of this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Tom Haglund from Tuolumne Utilities District. I'll echo the comments of Tom Trott. He hit the nail on the head, and I'd also appreciate Supervisor Hanvelt's comments relative to the fact that we're all in this together and trying to take care of a very significant problem here in Tuolumne County. As the board is aware from our request letter, TUD will, by the end of 2018, will have removed nearly 4,000 trees at a cost of about $2.4 million. 75% of that is reimbursed to us from CDAA, similar to the reimbursements that the county receives. But it does represent about a just shy of $600,000 cost to TUD ratepayers. And one of the points that I'd like to make relative to our ratepayers is that we serve some significant disadvantaged communities, and it disproportionately impacts those people at lower incomes to try to address this tree mortality problem with purely rate funds. And so in 2017, we removed about just shy of 1,700 trees. That was at a ratepayer cost of about $273,000. In 2018, we'll remove another 2,200. Some of that work is underway as we speak. And that will be an additional ratepayer cost of about $326,000. So in order for us to not have, or to at least reduce that disproportionate impact on our ratepayers, we're seeking funding through this grant from the county. And again, I would like to say thank you to Supervisor Hanvelt for his comments, and to Tuolumne County for leading the tree mortality task force. As has been commented on here this morning, Tuolumne County leads the way in addressing this in the state of California. We are happy to be on that tree mortality task force. We appreciate Tracy's leadership on this, and we leave to you, commend to you the decision relative to our request. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Bring it back to the board for the hard decision.
I have a comment.
Comment?
Yeah. I want to thank both the water districts for being here and providing those comments. And I just quickly want to highlight a couple of things that I think are important, and it's the work that we're getting done and this leadership by staff. But I was really amazed when I looked at this table of how these funds were going to be allocated from the state and saw us just behind Fresno County and recognized that Tuolumne County and Fresno County, hands down, have utilized and taken advantage of the programs that are available. Because, a number of these other counties just haven't been able to get it together to do it. I went through Madera County. I was on Highway 41, and I was astounded. It's not that they don't have the same number of trees. It's that a number of those trees are now in the ground. And so what that provides, or what the fuel loading capacity is going to be, cannot be also ignored, because we're not just getting those trees down, we're getting them out. And when I look at the infrastructure in Tuolumne County, I think that we do have to, the request from, I think, both TUD and Twain Hart, I'm prepared to factor that in, and even though, we have some issues when we look at contingencies, I think that it is part of this equation.
Supervisor Rotifer.
Yeah, I think this has been a team effort. It's also a classic example of how providing some leadership outside this county is really, really important, and we've done that. And in this particular case, I think Supervisor Hanbelt deserves a great deal of credit on that, as well as Tracy Riggs. Our team's incredible, and I think it would just be wrong to not make some amount of the funding available to partners on the team. I'm prepared to make a motion to approve their requests at a 50% level, if that's reasonable to the rest of the board.
Just one quick question, because I'd second that. Down the road, I mean, I want to use all this money. Absolutely every penny. So down the road, if we find we aren't spending at the rate we thought we were going to be able to, and because there's a lot of variables here, can we readjust how much of this we allocate?
I'm not going to say no. Right now, they're telling us that you need to make that allocation with the grant application. However, we have found that Cal OES and Cal Fire are very easy to work with. I can ask that question, but I can't answer it right now for you. Right now, we have to have it with a signed letter from the board stating how much you would like to allocate up front with the application. So I can't answer if they would allow us to do it later, but we can find out and get you that answer.
Well, we just need to make sure that we get all that money spent effectively, letting it go to waste, of course. I mean, I'm preaching to the choir, I know. But so I'm going to second the motion, but I think we need to go after finding ways to maximize our flexibility so it does get spent.
I don't foresee, even if we had, like we said, if you did the 50%, we have approximately $365,000. We have 2 full years, so I'm sorry, it wasn't 2020. We have until January of 2021. I'm sorry, it is 20. It's 2 years to carry it forward. 24 months of work for $365,000. That's less than what we've done already that we're estimating we'll do this fiscal year, and that's over a 24-month period. So I don't anticipate that we would not spend that over that period of time.
All right. Royce, comment?
Support your guys' motion. I think the success we've had up to this point has been due to teamwork and collaboration and cooperation and all of those things. And whether we're on the receiving side or the giving side, wonderful to have partners, TUD, Dwayne Hart, any of the other partners we've had in the past, PG&E and so forth, have really led to our success. We really have been a model across the state in dealing with this issue, and I am grateful to have you guys as partners, and the effort and energy and time that you guys contribute towards solving this problem is something that we're blessed to have. So I'm happy to support this and share the resources we have to deal with the issue.
All right, we have a motion by Supervisor Rhoda, second by Supervisor Hanvelt. Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Passes 5-0. Thank you. I'm ready for 5.
This is consideration of approving the east side of the Tuolumne Memorial Hall lawn for the construction of a memorial honoring the 9/11, Operation Desert Shield, Operation Desert Storm, and the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Good morning, Daniel Richardson, Deputy County Administrator. We were approached by the Veterans of Foreign Wars post in Tuolumne to place a war memorial on the county-owned property of the Tuolumne Memorial Hall. And so we brought this project to the Historic Preservation Review Commission, and they they tentatively approved it with the understanding that the final design would return to them. And we have an initial design that we've given in your board packet. Then I would invite Frank Smart and team to detail exactly what they intend to be placed on this memorial. But it looks like a fabulous way to honor those who have given their lives in 9/11, as well as the more recent, we'll call it modern wars. So with that, I'll turn the time over to Frank Smart.
Thank you, Daniel. I'm Frank Smart. I'm co-chair of this project. My co-chair here with me is Aaron Rasmussen. Aaron was raised out in Tuolumne. He served in the Iraq War. He's now the commander of VFW Post 4748. Him and I got together over lunch one day. He wanted to build a 9/11 memorial. I wanted to build one to Iraq and Afghanistan. We just melded them right together at the dinner table that day. And 11 months ago today, you approved our initial request to place the memorial on the front lawn of the property. After talking about it for a while, and our architect, Mike Wharton, who's a retired landscape architect, we had talked about the side lawn, but we didn't know what it would look like until Mike created a computer-generated image of it. And as soon as we saw it, we said, oh, we need to move to the side lawn. Number one, a lot of people didn't like the front lawn, the memorial being there. Number two, Gerald Ficillo, our engineer, said there were going to be some pretty severe drainage problems where the commemorative brick sidewalk hit the main sidewalk going into the front door. We were going to have a lot of things done there, but by moving it to the side lot, those issues went away. So that's what we're here for today, is to ask you for permission to move it to the side lot. Now, we have made some other changes, but we're not through with our final design yet. We'll be back with that shortly, of all the commemorative stones and placement of flagpost lighting, all those different things that we still have to work out. But today, we just need your approval to move it.
Any questions from the board? Any public comment? We'll bring it back to the board.
I just want to say that this is a wonderful vision that you guys have. Me personally, being a member of the generation of men and women that fought and served in our military during those wars and conflicts, makes me proud, and it's so important to recognize the sacrifice and service of those people. And I'm blessed to be the supervisor of the district that you guys are planning to do this project within. I want to thank you for your work on this, and I want you to know that I support you fully and look forward to the progress and eventual fruition of this dream. So thank you.
Supervisor Rutherford.
Yeah, I've been a supporter of this project all along. I think both of you know that. And very, very important. I agree with everything that Supervisor Roy said. And actually, this kind of falls into the category of why didn't I think of that, sort of. This is actually, I think, a much better location for it, and I think it's a great improvement on the project, and so I'm fully in support of that. I'll wait for public comment.
Okay, I ask for public comment. Anybody else want to come forward? I do have some photographs here of
I'd like to explain this if I could.
the material, and
This is a piece of limestone from the crash site at the Pentagon on 9/11. Took me over a year to get this thing, but the guy in the Pentagon was really good to me and helped me out. They wanted to know how you're going to secure this, how you're going to display it. This one is a piece of sandstone from the Shanksville, Pennsylvania field where Flight 93 crashed. That property has been turned into a national park and a museum. The curator of that museum sent me this piece of rock. The last one is a piece of steel from the Twin Towers. And Craig, you were the first one I called when trying to find how I could get some steel. Well, this piece of steel belongs to Dan Pinnell, who owns Pinnell Carpeting. Pinnell Carpeting is part of a larger organization called Carpet One. Carpet One challenged all of their dealers to raise money for a special scholarship, for a special foundation, and those who met those goals got this piece of steel. Stephen Jared Siller was a New York City firefighter and had just finished his shift that fateful day we now refer to as 9/11. It was on his way to play golf with his brothers when he got word over his scanner of a plane hitting the North Tower of the World Trade Center. He immediately called his wife Sally and asked her to tell his brothers he would catch up with them later. He returned to the firehouse for his gear. He drove his truck to the entrance of the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, but it had already been closed for security reasons. Determined to do his duty, Stephen strapped 60 pounds of gear on his back and raced on foot through the tunnel to the Twin Towers. He entered the building along with other firefighters, paramedics, and law enforcement officers, but he never came out. In his honor, his family established the Stephen Siller Tunnel to Towers Foundation, and one of their programs is Building for America's Bravest. This organization builds mortgage-free smart homes for the most catastrophically injured veterans. Each home is custom designed to address the unique needs of each individual. Pinnell's Carpeting of Sonora is a dealer under Carpet One Corporation, and they've challenged all their dealers to raise money, and they have done that. And for that generous gesture, we are extremely grateful to the Pinnell family. Building for America's Bravest has completed 66 homes or in progress and a pledge to build 200 more. And if I can find a veteran in this county that needs one, they will have me knocking on their door, because I think that is a great program. So that's, Aaron, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I want to thank Frank. Frank's really been the driving force behind this. He's had this experience in doing memorials around our county, and having this 9/11 memorial, not only honoring veterans, but the men in uniform that died that day. I think it's really important. Our county recognizes all wars, and this is one that we haven't quite got there yet, but we are. And I just want to thank the board's enduring support. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
One other thing, after this project, I do have one more memorial to build, but if there's any more wars, Aaron's got to build memorials. I'm done, okay?
All right, thank you.
So before this moves to a vote, I just want to thank both of you gentlemen for sitting down and coming together and finding a way to get this done. It is important that we recognize it, and thank you for that effort.
Thank you. And we are still selling bricks. Okay? Thank you very much.
Okay.
You want to make the motion,
Looking
Evan?
for a motion?
It's your district.
Absolutely. Make sure I state the right thing. Okay, so I'm honored to be able to make a motion to approve the east side of Pullman Memorial Hall lawn for the construction of the memorial honoring 9/11 Operation Desert Shield, Operation Desert Storm, and the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Second.
Good. We have a motion by Supervisor Royce, a second by Supervisor Rotifer. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Passes 5-0. Thank you, Daniel. Clerk, please read item 6.
This is consideration of approving tourism promotion agreement with the City of Sonora and Tuolumne County Visitors Bureau.
Mr. Chair, members of the
Mr.
board. For years and years, our TOT in Tuolumne County was set at 6%. And in 1983, that was increased from 6% to 8%. In conjunction with that increase, an agreement was developed between the Tuolumne County Visitors Bureau, the City of Sonora, and the County of Tuolumne, which said that 25% of that 8% would go to the Visitors Bureau for promoting Tuolumne County. Then in June of 2010, the voters approved another increase in the TOT from 8 to 10%, and that was passed, and we've been honoring that 25% of the 10% TOT, allocating that to the Visitors Bureau, but it was discovered a couple of years ago that we had not updated our agreement between the city, the county, and the Visitors Bureau to recognize that jump from 8% to a 10% TOT. At the bottom of your page 1 of your memo, I'll just mention it does show the revenue that's both the city and the county anticipated in their budget, and then how much was allocated budgetarily for the Visitors Bureau versus general operations, and it's significant for both. As far as the new agreement, staff was tasked to develop a new agreement, and with the assistance of Tim Miller from the City of Sonora and Lisa Mayo from the Visitors Bureau, and input from Supervisor Hanvelt, Mayor Connie Williams, who's in the audience. She's hiding back there. And then Shirley Sarno, the president of the Visitors Bureau. A new agreement was able to be developed. On page 2 of your memo, it describes the major changes in this new agreement. It totally replaces the old one, trying to make it as clear as possible. But the big changes are that, first, as far as the term of the agreement, it establishes a finite term that extends from the date that this agreement is approved, and hopefully that's today, because it's not just us, but the City of Sonora will be considering it later today, and would extend through June 30 of 2022, roughly 4.5 years. Any extension, so by design, it's to come to an end so we can reevaluate, and then would take agreement amongst the 3 parties to continue it in the future. Second, it makes it clear that the conveyance of 25% of the TOT collections applies to the 10%. It establishes that 1 city council member and 1 board member can sit as advisors to the Visitor Bureau Board, and that basically says they can walk like, talk like board members, except they can't vote. But it makes that official. It requires the city and county's advance input in the Visitors Bureau draft 2-year marketing plans, something that started up under Lisa's regime. And so we've tried to tie into that so the board and the council can provide input to their draft. And it just simply requires that the Visitors Bureau Board consider that input, from the board and the city council before they adopt those plans each year. And then lastly, it requires annual reports to be provided by the Visitors Bureau to the city and the county within 2 months of the end of their fiscal year. Since the Visitors Bureau fiscal year ends in June, they would come to the board and the city council before the end of August of each year. So that really describes the guts of the tourism promotion agreement that's before your board today. There is one other tidbit. It's important, but it's nothing that you would act upon. There's a letter of understanding that the Visitors Bureau has developed, and I've asked Lisa if she could come explain that.
Thank you, Craig, and good morning, Chairman Gray and board. I think I speak for all the tourism industry in this county when I say we're really happy to be at this point where we can hopefully get this agreement tied up. I'd like to take just a second before I dive totally into the matching funds program and just let you know that with the growing funds that we have seen and that this agreement will secure, I just wanted to let you know some of the things that we've been working on for that. We have this year expanded our film marketing and outreach. We actually have a film liaison who is actively seeking filming in Tuolumne County and attending events where she can network with film location scouts and producers and bring them here. In fact, tomorrow she's bringing one up from the Bay Area. We have continued our commercial coverage for a full 6 months in the East Bay, Central Valley, and Sacramento. We've created more video content that we can push out through social media, and we encourage community associations, the board, the county, the city, to all use this content that we have. We've increased, we've gotten a lot of great drone footage, virtual reality we're into now and promoting that way, and 360-degree photography. We have marketing and trade representation in the UK now, which helps to make us competitive with other entries into Yosemite National Park. We have advertising in Sacramento Airport. If you've recently traveled there and have claimed your luggage, hopefully you've seen our ads on the LED screens at baggage claim in both terminals. We are working with the Tuolumne County Transit Agency on a free trolley service in the summer for Saturdays, and looking to tie that in with local events and other themes throughout the county. We recently funded the Wild West Bass Trail Fishing Tournament that will take place at Don Pedro March 2nd through 4th, and that was a $15,000 sponsorship to secure them coming here at a time of year when we could really use the business. And we're looking at 150 to 200 anglers coming in and their families, and I guess they do some practice fishing as well, so hopefully they come in before the 2nd and spend a few extra nights here. We've also just created a condensed vacation planner and are getting that translated into 5 different languages. It will also be in English, but Spanish, French, Canadian, German, and Mandarin. And we are also expanding on our meetings, marketing, and promoting the off-peak seasons and inviting people to come here and bring their corporate retreats and small groups. For this, we've hired Katie Kirkland. Say hello, Katie. As our communications and tourism manager. And so that will be one of her key focuses, is bringing in that business. We've also ramped up our strategic planning, and part of that is our crisis communications planning. And I want to thank Supervisor Hanvelt and Tracy Riggs. They were both a part of this process we started last week. And we're also have reached out to the Sheriff's Department, and we'll be working with them to see how we play a role in that. As Randy brought up through our discussions, you know, visitors are often affected if we have a crisis. They might have a hotel room that they can't get to, or plans that they can't make. So we need to definitely have a role in how that plays out when we do have local crisis. We also have Destination Next, which is a great program that is run through Destinations International. And they will be coming here and helping us do a survey with the community leaders, the tourism industry. And it's basically kind of a SWOT type of analysis that they'll be doing with us. But we're going to look for opportunities to expand tourism, opportunities that might be right in front of us that maybe we don't see, but others in the community do. So we're looking forward to that and having a workshop on that on March 29th. And so you'll be getting more details about that. And finally, this brings me to the Matching Marketing Funds and Community Sponsorship Program. The Visitor Bureau has always done, just very quietly, sponsored various events and activities in the community. We've done a lot with the Groveland Trailheads, for example, but we haven't really said a lot about it. What we have done with this program now is to ramp it up. We put a $75,000 annual limit on it, where we can work with community groups and businesses to help them promote events, or if they have a special campaign. These would be things that are aimed at bringing more visitors to Tuolumne County. Currently, just in this year, we have already worked with the Sonora Chamber of Commerce, Strawberry Music Festival, the Tuolumne County Historical Society, Jamestown Promotion Club, All Hallows Fantasy Fair, Unruly Country Brew and Barbecue, Columbia College Foundation Wine Tasting Events, Sonora Celtic Fair, and also we're in the process of working with the Father's Day Fly-In again and Motherlode Roundup. So additionally, what I have done is I've sent information on the Marketing Matching Funds program to various groups, including the Fairgrounds, Economic Development, all of our chambers, Jamestown Promotion Club, the Arts Alliance. In fact, I have a meeting with them tomorrow. Tuolumne County Airports, Columbia College Foundation, and Tuolumne County Search and Rescue. So we are marketing this program through by just reaching out one-on-one like that. But also, when we have an opportunity, like with the newspaper recently, they did an article, and we were able to talk about that within that article and promote that that plan. And we have it on our website, on our members page. And of course, we would invite all of you to let people know about the Matching Funds program. If there's groups that you are aware of that are working to bring in visitors, to ramp up their events, we'd be happy to entertain those plans. These will all go before our board of directors for approval. But again, I think it's a great way that we can have a better partnership, and again, not just silently go about doing this, but to require, that our logo is used and we're mentioned. Maybe we have a booth at the event. We can put up banners, that type of things. Not just so that people know that we're doing that, but because it's our branding, it's our county. So I want to thank you for your continued support and entertain any questions you might have about the program. I know you have in your packet a little more detail, but I'd be happy to try and answer anything that
Any
you
questions?
might have.
Just comment that you guys are doing an awesome job, and I think this the trial matching marketing fund program is really going to be helpful for those groups that out there sometimes struggle just to get started. So thank you.
Great.
Superintendent.
Yeah, I'd just like to comment positively about how the Visitors Bureau has had its challenges in the last few years promoting tourism. We had Rimfire that didn't exactly invite a lot of people here. We've had serious drought. We've had tree mortality, lots of challenges. We had the floods last year, more challenges, road washouts, all sorts of things. And somehow, some way, they continue to promote us as a destination, and not just a seasonal destination. They're working on this to be a year-round place to be, and I have to thank them for that effort.
All right. Any public comment? Thank you, Lisa.
Well, I love Lisa, and I think she's amazing, and you brought so much money here, so you get to be one of my favorites. But I also think we, as a community, need to step up and be supportive also. And we should not ask our tourists and our visitors to come here and walk down the streets of Sonora stepping over vomit, dog poop, human urine, dog urine. So we're going to ask you for a little less than $300. But we need to clean up our city. So before Christmas and Santa Claus, I was out there trying to clean up the city. And I was really unhappy with the county because over by that little courtyard where the master gardeners are, the county employees had come in and blown all the leaves, but they just blew them over to the side and left them so they could rot and get yucky. 21 buckets I picked up of leaves to clean up that courtyard. Anyway, our community needs to clean up. Our major roads look like pigsties. There's trash everywhere. There's human waste. So we have an obligation as a community to make this a nice place where tourists can walk down the street and not have to step over yuck and muck. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Not public, but since the public's not speaking, I echo what Supervisor Handout said. This has been a tough 5 years for Tuolumne County, and all of it, most of the stuff that was tough about it, made us stronger as a county, but it also obviously adversely impacted the work that Lisa and the Visitors Bureau do. And yet, through all of that, I don't really think that there was a time that I went to any of the, I'll call them gateway communities, but the major communities, economic engines in my district, and asked the hotel owners, the restaurateurs, the businesses, retail businesses, if they were being terribly impacted by it, that they said yes. I mean, we got through that. Some of it was because they were serving firefighters in one case and not visitors, but, well, they were visitors too. But I think it's a tremendous statement on how well Lisa does her job in the Visitors Bureau. And I really, I want to thank the special effort that the board made and Lisa made to sit down and talk with me in particular. And I think that this new agreement is a good one, and I fully support it. So at the appropriate time, I'll vote yay.
Comment. I just want to thank you and the Visitors Bureau for all the success that we've had in promoting the industry and bringing revenue in for the county. And it's been a huge part of our budget over the last couple of years. The growth in the TOT and in the promotion that you've done has been it's been hugely successful, and the partnership that we have is something that we should cherish, and I'm happy to have these contracts to fully Carl, help me out. You're the vocab guy.
Get a return on our investment.
It's a return on an investment, but it memorializes a
okay.
And happy to be doing this today.
Thank you.
Sherry?
Yeah, I just echo the comments of all my fellow supervisors, and just want to highlight one additional piece that I've seen. I have talked to nobody that has reached out to the Visitors Bureau where you have not attempted to create a partnership and a working partnership with different entities in the county. And so I think that's been a huge part of your success, and congratulations, because it does take time. It takes a lot of staff involvement to be attending different meetings and reaching out and working with a broad spectrum of groups and organizations. And everyone that I've talked to, and I reached out to a few of them that you work with when I was reading this, and said that you guys fantastic partners. So thank you for all that effort with us and with the community partners.
Thank you.
All right, one last comment from Supervisor Hanvelt.
I'm not going to comment. I'm just going to move in favor of approving the tourism promotion agreement between Tuolumne County, City of Sonora, and the Tuolumne County Visitors Bureau.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Hanvelt, second by Supervisor Roderfer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Clerk, please read item 7.
Consideration of awarding an agreement for construction, special testing, and inspection services for the Tuolumne County Jail Facility.
Ms. Frank.
Good morning, Frank, Deputy County Administrator. With me today is Carlin Drbdal from the County Counsel's Office. We're here today before you in regards to reconsideration of awarding an agreement for construction, special testing, and inspection services. As your board is aware, staff was before you on January 9th with this item for testing services for the jail project. At that time, staff had recommended a specific firm to you, and your board had questions and asked staff to go back and work with county council and do some further review and then come back before you for consideration in your next meeting. So here we are. As you know, the jail project is roughly 62,000 square feet. It's 2.5 stories and encompasses 6 acres. It's a very, very complicated project, and one in which staff has done everything to make sure that we're doing this project correctly. To ensure that everything is being done correctly, the county, one of the last requirements that we had to do was go out with an RFP for special testing and inspection services. In that, we specifically asked in the RFP for a scope of work for these services, and I just want to go over some of the items that we asked for in the RFP. Specifically, we asked the potential vendors for this project to assist the county's construction management, architect, and contractor in the development and implementation of a quality assurance plan. We asked them to provide all testing and inspections as required in the 2016 building code. Provide all structural tests and special inspections as required by Chapter 17 of the 2016 building code. Provide all testing and inspections as required by the contract documents, and additional testing and inspections as required by the owner's project manual, or as we refer to it as a spec book. Provide all soils analysis, compaction testing, and excavation inspections as required by the Chapter 18 of the 2016 building code. We asked them to provide qualified personnel to be out on site when requested. We asked them for certification of the building pad following rough grading. We asked them for concrete testing and inspections concrete mix design review, concrete placement inspection, and sampling and cylinder testing. Rebar reinforcement inspections, ties, overlaps, and clearance requirements. They are to do steel fabrication, welding, and bolt testing. They're to perform special specific inspections, samplings, and testing of products in accordance with specified standards, and report all compliant and non-compliant test findings. They are to ascertain compliance of materials and mixes with requirements of the contract documents. They are to promptly notify owners, construction management, and contractor when they observe irregularities or non-conformance of work or products. We're asking them to attend pre-construction meetings and progress meetings when requested. They are to prepare, cure, store, and transport project samples to the laboratory as required and in compliance with specified standards. And we ask that all work must conform to the requirements of all applicable laws, codes, ordinance, and regulations. And lastly, we ask that all masonry inspections include high and low lift grout inspections, cleanouts, and cells. So it's a huge scope of work that we're asking this firm, whomever we hire, to do and carry out. In putting together best practices into action and applying lessons learned from previous projects in which your board has asked staff to really hone in and really do, especially in regards to this huge undertaking that we're about to start on. The review committee, in reviewing the 8 proposals that we received, really felt it was vital to select a firm, a special testing firm, that had the following criteria, or met the following criteria, excellent qualifications, experience working on similar type detention projects, assign the appropriate level of staff, skilled staff to do what the project has, and their proposal, as far as their cost proposal and their project, really was realistic to match the required work that I just talked about in the scope of work. Taking all those things into consideration and looking at the scope of work, the review committee felt that Construction Testing Services was the best firm for this project. In their proposal, they were one of the few only ones really that listed. They had 8 previous detention facilities that they had worked on, and that was very important to us. Their construction testing services in their proposal was very orientated towards the services, and they provided a numerous detail to the review committee in regards to how they would address each and every item that I just listed for you. If we were to award an agreement for construction testing services to Construction Testing Services, Inc., for this jail project, the amount of their contract would be $271,174. The funds for this are contained within your capital budget under the law and justice item for the jail project. And also the agreement before you for consideration has been approved as to form for County Council. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Carlin Drivdahl, who will talk to you about her review and options the board has in regards to this item.
Good morning. Deputy County Counsel Carlin Drivdahl. Unlike construction contracts, which are statutorily required to be given to the lowest responsible bidder, your board has significantly more discretion with regard to evaluation criteria and weight given to that criteria for services contracts. These criteria are inevitably more subjective, and your board is given substantial deference in evaluating and applying that criteria. As detailed in the RFP, submitted proposals for this service would be evaluated and ranked based upon the following criteria. Firms or the individual's qualifications and experience, that was weighted 20 points. Similar project references, that was weighted 10 points. Approach to providing services, 25 points. Capacity to perform scope of work in a timely and professional manner, 15 points. Cost to conduct all tasks listed in the scope of work, 25 points. And proof of insurance, 5 points. That adds up to 100 points. So points, percentages, however you like to look at this. Neither the RFP nor case law requires your board to award the contract to the highest ranked firm. The selection committee's evaluation of the top 3 candidates, CTS, Consolidated Engineering, and Condor, was relatively close. Should your board wish to award this contract to another candidate, it is our recommendation that you explain your decision to go in a different direction using the RFP criteria I listed earlier. So here are your options with regard to the contract for special testing and inspection services. First, you could award the contract to CTS based on the selection committee's recommendation. Second would be to award the contract to another provider based on the RFP selection criteria. If your board wishes to go in this direction, we would request that you direct staff to negotiate a contract with the other provider using the county standard agreement template subject to county council approval as to legal form. That will not hold up the project. Your third option is to continue the consideration of the contract to a future meeting and provide staff further direction. Now, this option will likely have impacts on the commencement of the jail project. And finally, you can reject all proposals and direct staff to issue a new RFP. Again, this option will likely have impacts on the commencement of the jail project. So with that, we're here for any questions that you have.
Okay, any questions? Supervisor Royce.
Thank you. First of all, I would just like to say I appreciate the board and staff giving me the opportunity to dig into this matter further. I was on our last meeting that requested that this be investigated. And at this point, I just want to say I don't want to move this thing any farther down the road. I'm prepared for us to make a decision today, and I hope that we can get full consensus with what we do as we move forward. After further investigation, I'm reasonably open-minded about what the outcome is. I think either way we're in good hands. Personally, I have a preference for Condor because of the fact that they're a local business. I think there's benefits for their employees and their company, and that trickles back into our community. Additionally, I see an advantage with Condor being local in the fact that you're not paying someone a premium rate when you're dealing with public projects to sit in a vehicle and travel from an hour to 2 hours, both directions, to get up to here. CTS is very well qualified. They've got an impressive resume. The only objection I have to their proposal is their minimum charges for hours, the 4-hour and 8-hour increments that they'll be charging us in. I don't like that. And I don't like seeing that, but I do understand probably a large majority of the time that's not going to be a factor because they're going to be here for longer periods. But in my experience in construction, I know a lot of times the testing, people will be on site for an hour or two, and if I was paying them, I wouldn't want to pay them for 4 hours. Or if it's, if they're 5 hours, I don't want to pay them for 8 hours. So I do object to that. I don't know if there's any way that you can negotiate that, but it's kind of late at this point, I believe, if we're going to move ahead. That's the only thing that gives me heartburn. Back to Condor, I know Condor was close in the review. Like I said, I want this project to start on a positive foot, and I want both the staff and the team, along with our consultant, to be fully on board with the decision. We move ahead, and I don't want to undermine your recommendation. I do appreciate the work that's been done on that. I just have probably more personal bias with my experience as a contractor and the way I look at these things than probably most people would. But with that, I'm not going to push either direction. I don't like that term within the CTS proposal. And then looking towards the future, what I would like to recommend, I don't remember reviewing the criteria for the RFP, but in the future, I would like to see a preference given to local vendors. I think that's important. We talk about it all the time with contracts for the competitive bid process, and it's much more difficult to do. But when it comes to RFPs, we do have that power, and I'd like to see 10 or 20 points or percent of a criteria be given for a local advantage, because there really is a value to that for both us and potential bidders and the community as a whole. So with that, I'll just leave it up to the board, and I once again thank you for the opportunity to dig further. It makes me feel comfortable in how we're moving ahead.
Just a question, is that something that we could look at when we do the matrix for choosing these, to the thought of adding a point, additional points for local contractors?
Yes, and it's actually already in our ordinance code,
Okay.
so we can do that. It's not 10 to 20%. I believe it's 5. I'd have to check, but
5 could be this way.
Depends on how you're making the criteria. I just want it to be quantified as a value that we consider.
Okay.
One more quick point, if you'll humor me. Thank you, John. I just want to say I did have a chance to communicate with Bob Job at Condor. I had questions for him about their proposal and their experience, and I just want to say he's an extremely classy individual. It took the highest road possible, and he just wanted the staff to be comfortable with how they move ahead. He wanted to make sure that you're fully invested in your decision, and they said they've always enjoyed working with the county, but they're never going to be taking a position of trying to manipulate an outcome for their advantage, and they want us as a community as a whole to do well. So I just I wanted to give him credit for that, because I really thought that was
very nice.
a nice thing.
Okay, any other comment? Supervisor Hanvelt?
Appreciate Supervisor Royce's comments on this, and I too like local suppliers. However, and I like giving them preference, and I think we already give them a price preference on this stuff, but they have to be competitive. We can't make this a deal where they manipulate the system and get the deal in there. And they got to be quality of service, et cetera. And I am going to say this, that I was very disappointed in similar services provided on our juvenile detention facility. I believe that caused us enormous delays and financial pain. And so I'm inclined to go with the recommendation of staff here, because this job has got to get done and got to get done right. They were the highest evaluated bidder. They've got a lot of experience, and I'm willing to give them a shot. So that's where I am on that.
Any other board comment?
Just find all the rocks.
Yeah, first, before we start digging.
There you go.
Thank you for the short version of what I was trying to say.
Okay. Any other board comment? Any public comment?
I really appreciate what Evan Royce said. I mean, how often do we find about contracts given to people outside of the county, outside of the state? My vote would be for Condor. If they're viable, if they're in there, let's go local. You know, we need to support our local businesses, not just our visitors. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I kind of said my piece at the last meeting, so I hope that issue, you had a discussion about that. Because my understanding was that one of the criteria was that you had to have worked on a detention center before, and Condor did not meet that requirement. And like I said, I have the red flags and the concerns, and no one has made me feel better. And if you say that we're going to only go with local, I mean, it's wonderful to support local business. They could have done the trees, they could have done the cement area over in front of the county building. We keep going outside. But I want someone who can get the job done, and then we're not paying for it later. So, and like I said, I had some concerns, so I'm in support of staff recommendation.
All right, thank you. Now, Supervisor Rice.
Yeah, I just want to clear up a couple things, and I'll make a motion. I want to, on the record, defend Condor in two matters that I've heard behind the scenes. One is and I don't think they wanted this hashed out, but I just want to make a couple points because I think it's not fair for them. One, well, first of all, they do OSHPD work, DSA work, which are some of the highest level regulatory environments in construction. The Cancer Center, they are the contractor on. The Black Oak Casino Hotel, they're the contractor on. Numerous school jobs, hospitals, and so forth. So I think they're more than qualified, and I don't want that impression being given. Secondly, any fault that is implied for them for both the juvenile center or, in the past I've heard, the landfill project, I do not think is fair. If you read the geotech, I've read it, I've read the whole thing, and they identify that there's outcroppings there, that there's rock, and there's obvious rock that they should, that the client should be concerned about. They did two test drillings, which were outside of the building footprint because they didn't want to compromise that area. And they didn't hit rock, but that was what was directed. And they said, be aware there is rock here and there are outcroppings. I feel we were taken advantage of by our construction consultant at the time, and I think they benefited from that in the end, the way the changes were. And I think there's a guilt by association. But if you read that report, it's not fair to blame them. Secondly, with the landfill issue, the cap that was done, there was an engineer of record who I believe was directed by the state, changed the design at the 11th hour against the recommendations of Condor, which eventually we had issues with. And once again, guilt by association. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's their well, not that it's not their responsibility, but it wasn't their decisions that led to the problems that we have. So in the future, I don't think those two things are fair to use as a reason to consider them. And I've seen them work on numerous projects in this community and be very successful. And like I said, they're classy people and do good work. So with that,
okay,
I will make a motion based on staff recommendation. I want the staff and our team to have full buy-in, and I appreciate Condor's position on that. And in the future, I would just ask the county council to work on those criteria, and that the board look at those criteria as they go out.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Royce, second by Supervisor Rodifer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none, passes 5-0. Thank you. Clerk, please read. I think we need about an 8-minute break. It looks like.
County Administrator. We are here today to request your board approve correspondence regarding the Don Pedro FERC relicensing process. This is specifically comments on the amended final license application that Modesto Irrigation District and Turlock Irrigation District, better known as what we call them as the districts, that they have submitted for consideration. As you are aware, the Don Pedro FERC relicensing process has been going on for quite some time. 2011, but possibly even sooner. And it is now moving toward the final stages. As I mentioned, the districts, Turlock and Modesto Irrigation Districts, who own the Don Pedro Dam, Reservoir, and Powerhouse, they have submitted their amended final license application in hopes of receiving a 50-year FERC license renewal, which is a pretty standard length of time for a FERC license. The FERC license is necessary to use water to generate power. County staff has been engaged in this FERC process for quite some time. Mr. Richardson was attending meetings long before I even showed up here. And then we've been attending together. We've been tag teaming. I go when he can't. He goes when I can't. We've been attending the settlement negotiation meetings, also participating in the recreation caucus. And that has been with whitewater rafting companies and other stakeholders related to recreation interests at the Don Pedro Reservoir. Your board has been interested in this process primarily because of concerns regarding the Wards Ferry Bridge as a takeout for whitewater rafters along the Tuolumne River, as well as some other health and safety concerns associated with the Don Pedro project that was built. Your board sent comments expressing these concerns in 2014. So the amended final license was put out for public input, and they have proposed some upgrades or an enhanced facility, a whitewater takeout facility at the Wards Ferry Bridge. In the memo there, it says what they propose to build on River Left, upstream of the Wards Ferry Bridge, a platform suitable for 2 to 3 trucks with cranes that could come that could reach down to the river, lift up the whitewater rafting boats or rafts, and then put them into trucks. This currently happens, but it currently happens on the Wards Ferry Bridge itself, and it's an extreme safety, traffic, all kinds of hazards. And so this would be a proposal to amend that. It would enhance the location, the facility, that kind of thing. However, most of the concerns that your board expressed in 2014 in the written comments were not addressed in this amended final license application, primarily around road improvements and maintenance of Wards Ferry Bridge, parking at the bridge, cell phone communication at the Wards Ferry Bridge takeout area, and then ongoing maintenance concerns of this proposed platform or deck, as they're calling it. Comments on this amended final license application are due January 29th. The comments that I just passed out for you were written by our outside water counsel. I made just a few minor tweaks just to make some things a little clearer. And so I am here requesting your board approve those comments. I just want to highlight there, they mainly discuss while addressing or acknowledging the enhanced whitewater takeout facility that the districts are proposing, they also detail 3 main issues, and that would be the issue of the unsafe travel on Wards Ferry Bridge, as well as the issue at J59 and Bonds Flat Road. We, in the comments there, based on things that your board has said, we are requesting, or the comments request, that the districts consider putting in a turn pocket at J59 and Bonds Flat Road because of Bonds Flat Road is used for recreation, to access Don Pedro for recreation. There's lots of boats and trailer traffic, and it's extremely unsafe for those who use J59 just as a thoroughfare between our county and other counties. So not only is the turn pocket addressed, but also an acceleration lane off of Bonds Flat back onto J59. So again, there's the issue of unsafe travel that's addressed in these comments. There's the issue of the Wards Ferry Bridge itself, i.e. parking, access to the lake, walking access to the river, and bathrooms, and then the issue of the public safety and the maintenance of the facility, and then the issue of communication, specifically cell phone communication for those private folks who use the area to recreate. And then the last issue that's addressed is the Don Pedro Dam spillway, which, as your board knows, is a very real issue and concern. That the spillway, when they have to use it, they have to take out the road, and that substantially increases time for emergency personnel, residents, but more specifically emergency personnel, to get to the Don Pedro community. And so in the comments, it requests that the districts consider a solution to this issue, possibly constructing a bridge to go up and over the spillway instead of having to take out the road, which, again, as your board knows, has happened twice so far and could very well happen again. So those are the gist of the comments that we are proposing or requesting your board consider. Happy to answer any questions, make any edits, any suggested changes. Again, these comments are due on the 29th of this month.
Supervisor Hanville.
Yeah, I'd like to comment on that last one, on the Don Pedro spillway. I just think that is an absolute disaster. The spillway, the emergency spillway, is a Oroville all over again. It just dumps onto dirt. We'll get hydraulic mining if it ever goes over that. When they open the gates, even after decommissioning or deconstructing Bonds Flat, the channel is grossly inadequate for the flow required to make an impact. And I think we need to strengthen the comment about the public safety issue. When Bonds Flat wasn't there, the travel time for first responders was not 5 minutes. It was more like 17 minutes or something like that. We can get an exact time from them, but that's inexcusable. We're putting people at risk, and they need to fix that. And I know they never expect it to ever happen. We've had 2 instances, so we know it does happen, and very frankly, I don't think it was managed real well, and that wasn't all TID's fault. I mean, that was the water management in the state, but nevertheless, I think we need to strengthen that. I think the public safety is really important, and having reviewed what happened at Oroville, just don't want that happening in Tuolumne County or any of our subsidiaries downstream.
All right, any other comment? Supervisor Roedifer?
Yeah, on top of, I'd like to amplify one of the points that Supervisor Hanveld said. One of the timing of when it is most likely that spillway would be used is during a time when it's very high likelihood of fire as well. And closing down what is a major thoroughfare for that area's communities really limits the options in a parallel crisis, if you will. And I think that road really needs, that spillway, that road needs to be engineered such that it operates independent of that spillway. And that is on them. I'm sorry, that's not our responsibility. So of all the things that we've talked about, they're all very important. But that's, in my mind, is the most critical.
I just want to echo those comments because you not only, when that road's out, that means you're going through Stanislaus County and a portion of Mariposa County. And in the event of an emergency, and I think Supervisor Roedifer was highlighting, if that spillway, when that happens, that means we're in flood conditions all around. There are issues going around the county that are emergency issues. And so it's a heightened time for the county also. And so to have those kinds of delays in getting to constituents in the Don Pedro area is just unacceptable.
And, you look at issue with Marsh's Flat Road that compounds it. You know, it's not in place. It would be another emergency route. So, very important part of it. I think it's all important. I like the letter. I think it covers all the points that we discussed as a board. Any other comments?
Well, I think you ought to take public comment, but
I will.
I just think
I gotta
that
get done with
section
you first.
ought to be strengthened. That's the only.
So, a stronger wording in that particular section about
Sure.
about the bridge would be helpful.
And by the way, if you're happy with it, when you get there, I'll be happy with it.
All right.
It's your district.
So we'll go ahead and strengthen that a little bit, and then if the board will give me the authority to sign that. Public comment. Seeing none, bring it back for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move in favor of a letter with that if we strengthen those positions, and since you're signing it, if you're happy with it, we'll be happy with it.
Second.
Okay, a motion by Supervisor Hanveld, second by Supervisor Rutherford. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Passes 5-0. Clerk, please read the next item.
Number 9, consideration of approving a contract with George Reed, Inc. to complete the Albert N. Francisco A&F entrance project and associated budgetary adjustments.
Hey, good morning, Daniel Richardson, Deputy County Administrator. In front of the Albert N. Francisco building, we have a sidewalk entrance area that is, we began a project earlier this summer trying to take out the slippery tile, and also we had some trees whose roots were causing problems. We're going to redo the entrance. As the contractor was hired, he did the excavation of the area, and as they're starting to put in the lines to put back in the entrance area, as he got more precise measurements, he found out that it was not, he could not make a ADA compliant walkway entrance in. So we once again pulled out some of the ADA compliance experts from the Community Resources Agency, and they were very helpful. Mr. Pedro and I were out there looking at what are our options that were available, and we had an engineering firm came in here the same day, and they started to design an appropriate ADA entrance. And today, after that design and getting bids, we're back to you to hopefully finalize the entrance design, and let me bring it up on the screen here for you, and to award the contract. So this is what is on the screen, is what has been designed, is to have a concrete entrance with a, you can see we have a walking path that goes back and forth. Unfortunately, we could not meet ADA without having, we'll call it the zigzag, back and forth to get to the A&F entrance. We were trying to avoid this, but unfortunately with the slopes that are in front of the A&F building, we had to go to this type of design. Try not to make it just a concrete land. We do have some planters there. We'll put some foliage to hopefully brighten things up. So that's our current design we're working on. We then try to get this done as quick as possible. We did get bids on the project, and George Reed is the low bid, and County Council has reviewed the bids. It came in at $92,000 as the low bid, and we were able to pay for this with the leftover funding from the initial project of $18,700. We actually can delay 2 projects that are in your budget. The library paving we can put off until next fiscal year, which actually couldn't get started until it dries up anyway. So that's a $50,000 project. And then also we've put in an order to AT&T for a secondary internet connection, and that order has not come in yet. And so we can take the savings from that project, $23,300, to get to our $92,000 project. So we need to make those budgetary adjustments, and as such, this will require a 4/5 vote.
Any questions, Supervisor Rutherford?
Not so much questions as a comment. I think, first of all, staff does great work, okay? But we all slip up a little bit now and then. And I think this is a case where we might have done a little bit of fire-ready aim. And I just encourage us to learn from anything that might have happened there. And I want to be clear, the money that we're going to use to fund the 92,000, that's not money that's just laying around. Those projects are going to end up getting done eventually. They're just going to get done next fiscal year, so we're going to have to find money in the budget next fiscal year to do that, correct?
For the $50,000, the $23,000 actually is savings because those are monthly charges that we're not having to pay AT&T.
Okay, thank you. Just clarifying.
Yes.
Any other questions? Any public comment?
This has been an eyesore for months, so I would like to see this get finished. And I love George Reed, even if they're kind of based out of Modesto. They still use a lot of local workers here, so I consider them kind of local because they always do a good job, and they're very generous in donating some kind of free projects along the same time that they're here doing something. So I think that would be a really good idea. However, I would like to discuss the planters, because there is a planter over there now, and it's an ashtray and a trash can. So if we're going to have planters there and some plants, then we need to take care of them.
Thank you. Any other public comment? I'll bring it back to the board.
Mr. Chair, I'd move approval of awarding this contract to George Reed for the completion of the A&F building entrance in the amount of $92,000 and the associated budgetary changes contingent on the completion of the agreement, receipt of bonds, and final review by County Council.
Second.
We have a motion by Supervisor Brennan, a second by Supervisor Hanvelt. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Passes 5-0. Mr. Pedro, I have a question for you. Can we go with this next item, or are we real?
We can do it. I'm sure they'll be efficient with their presentation.
Okay. Number 10.
Consideration of approving amendment number 1 to the agreement for professional services with SCI Consulting Group for the development and public facilitation of the marijuana regulations.
Thank you, Chairman, fellow supervisors. My name is Dan Van Essen, and I'm a planner for Tuolumne County. I work for the Community Resources Agency. Today we're bringing forth an item to amend a contract with SCI Consulting Group. On July 25th, 2017, Tuolumne County signed an agreement for professional services regarding personal and medical cannabis regulations and public facilitation of marijuana regulations with SCI Consulting Group in an amount not to exceed $22,500, and that included 12 on-site meetings spread over 6 trips. The current contract needs to be amended due to board direction to pursue exploration of commercial cannabis activities, and the amended contract will include work for SCI to plan, research, and prepare presentation materials, present materials, and respond to comments and questions at 11 meetings spread over 9 trips. SCI will charge a flat fee of $20,300 for the described services, and additionally, SCI will charge an incidental cost incurred out of the pocket expenses to not exceed $4,000. And it is important to remember that the incidental costs will not be charged in full, but will be reimbursed at actual cost.
One of the things, if you look in the report, that I want to make sure that is brought up, and there's a reason why Dan shifted this over to me. This is a fiscal matter. After speaking with the CAO's office, we have determined we are going to use our existing budget line, for which this was not budgeted for in our professional services account, to fund this so we don't impact the general fund. However, obviously I'm hesitant. I put a statement in the report for a reason. Fiscally prudent, we're going to be right down to the penny. And so I just want to make you aware, if we fund this, that there's a possibility in the mid-year and the end of the year we're going to have some adjustments that need to be made. We're not asking for that right now, just making you aware.
For our recommendation for this item, we recommend that your board give authority to the CAO to sign an amendment to the contract with SCI Consulting Group in a total amount not to exceed $46,800.
Any questions from the board? It's what we asked for, so any public comment? Seeing none, bring it back to the board.
Move on staff recommendation.
We have a motion by Supervisor Rotifer, second by Supervisor Hanvelt. All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Thank you. Next item.
Number 11 is consideration of approving an agreement with Ascent Environmental, Inc. to prepare a recirculated environmental impact report for the Tuolumne County General Plan update.
So I did introduce myself before, but my name is David Gonzalez. I'm your Community Resource Agency Director. And we have Quincy Yaley, the Assistant Director here from Community Resources. And we also have our consultant here from Ascent, Gary Jacobs. It is a very good day for us to be at a point where I want to express to you and the public here that we are moving forward with our general plan. We have made our assessment as our team, part of which could not be here today. We've assembled that team. We've looked at the EIR. We've looked at the general plan. We have a strategy going forward. We'll be meeting with the committee, I believe, Thursday to go over giving a status update and where we are. At the point, I finally feel good about where we are moving forward. Last year, distracted from the priority that I had. And not the fact that we weren't working on things, it's just not at the level that I was ready to do and had anticipated when you first hired me. I am very excited. I would like for Gary and Quincy to say a few things. We do have the rest of the team. Like I said, you could not be here. I was hoping Carlin and the attorneys that we've hired and our consultants, Bill King and our Tanya Sundberg could also be here. But being efficient with money, we're not going to be doing that. We'll be meeting with them all, I believe, Thursday when we meet with the committee. So with that, I just want to say thank you for support during this last year. We're finally moving forward, and I would like Quincy to be able to address a few things here.
Good morning, Quincy Yaley, Assistant Director for the Community Resources Agency. I just want to echo what David said. We're very excited to be here today and to present this contract for you to move the general plan update over a major milestone and really into production. So I want to introduce Gary Jacobs. He's the principal with Ascent Environmental. They are the firm that we selected after doing a review of 5 proposals and 3 interviews. So, Gary, I'll pass it to you.
Okay. Good morning. My name's Gary Jacobs, and as you can see, I'm surrounded, so I say only the right things to you. Appreciate being here. I appreciate certainly the confidence of your staff in selecting Ascent Environmental to prepare this environmental impact report. Mike Parker in the audience is your project manager for this EIR. I'm the principal in charge. Ascent Environmental is a firm that focuses on CEQA compliance, NEPA compliance, so California National Environmental Policy Act, California Environmental Quality Act compliance. We were founded in 2010. My experience goes back to 1981. That's when I first started practicing in this industry, and by the look of my hair, I've certainly lost quite a bit in trying to perfect our craft. We're dedicated to doing our best job for you. We know that general plans are not always simple projects, and there certainly will be a lot of public interest in this. It's our intent to capture the public interest and public comments and make sure that the environmental impact report is a solid and objective document and that it meets the strict requirements of California Environmental Quality Act, as well as recognizes a lot of the case law that has been passed or been decided over the years that really influences the direction of the work that we do. So I'm here to answer any questions. And
Any questions? Any questions from the board? I just have one. We had a stab at this once before, and what we're doing now is recirculating the plan. Can you just give us an idea of what are we going to be recirculating?
Sure. So in the initial environmental impact report, you received a lot of comments. You certainly received some interest from some groups and some comments from an attorney that were fairly hard hitting. We reviewed the environmental impact report ourselves and looked at areas that we thought could be enhanced, as well as addressing some of the comments that were raised in comments on the prior draft DIR. There's a lot of work to do in order to get there, but we feel like we've got a good pathway to address these issues and to make sure that the document is very consistent from section to section, that it recognizes the policies of the general plan. These are some of the issues that we saw as shortcomings of the prior document, not being critical of it, but just, we took a fresh look at it. So we're going to make sure that we take a very consistent approach to looking at your policies, what you're trying to do, issues on agriculture and other areas of importance to the county, and that the environmental impact report is supporting the general plan.
Right. Thank you. David?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. As you all know, one of the tasks you had with me and my staff, as well as our legal department, was to assess the document that's out for circulation. We all did that independently, and all came up with the same conclusions, what we felt needed to be done to move this project forward and to get a document that would meet the goals, policies, and the wishes of this board as a policy document for the general plan, but also a document that's legally defensible and meets the state requirements. So that is the task that we have put forward to the entire team. And I am very proud of the team that they've assembled from Ascent, as well as the team we put together to make this project happen in a timely manner.
Thank you. Any other board comment?
Just one. I'm really happy that we're here because this is this thing's so out of date, and we have this new one. This is one of the most important things we do for the benefit of our people and giving them the opportunity to thrive. So my comment is only we just got to get it right, and our team knows that. And but I don't know if you've heard us say that, but we got to get it right, and it's just so important. So we appreciate you're here, and look forward to working with you.
Supervisor Rotifer?
Yeah, you made a comment about you didn't want to be critical of the previous effort. Don't be afraid to be critical of the previous effort at all. We want to get it right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Sherry?
Just quickly, as a member of the working group, I want this board to have confidence that we've talked about this and the importance of having reports back to the full board and updating the board when it is appropriate. And so I just wanted to, we are aware of that as a working group, and it will take place, and looking forward to this.
Okay. Any public comment?
Well, I'm going to hold you to your commitment to making this public, transparent, involving the community. The last one sucked, and I totally resent having to pay for it again. But it was so bad, and the process was so hinky and so stinky that it was offensive. So I really do hope that you listen to the public, because there are a lot of people who have a lot of questions. And I applaud Quincy for going and meeting with many of the hostile members of our public and dissipating that hostility. So I hope we can all work together and come up with something that will please the majority of the public, at least, and have a general plan that actually reflects the community's vision for what their community is. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we heard that loud and clear, and Quincy and I have already started that effort, as many of you know. We have just begun. I will not say that everybody will agree with what we're going to be doing, but there will be no surprises. And And when the document's done, it is a board's policy and goal document. And that's what it will reflect. We will do our best. Surprisingly enough, as we begin to meet with many of these folks that feel that they are not pleased with what the outcome is, and the groups that agree with the board's directions and my department, there really is so much commonality there that it's actually gives me a smile and a moment to pause to try to explain to those folks that they're really not that far apart. They really aren't. We all want the same thing. It's some different directions, how they're going to get there, and different desires. But if we do the best that we are going to do and try to inform people, they may not be completely pleased, but they are not that far apart. And we will do our best to make sure that the public is informed. I promise you that.
Quincy, you want to add something else?
Yeah, I just want to echo again what David has said is our goal is to get to the release of the draft general plan EIR and the general plan update, and that there should be no surprises to the community. And so given that we have this forum here today, I just want to reach out to those in the audience as well as those in our community to feel free to get in touch with me, myself or David. Flood the phones. We want to hear from everybody, and we're doing what we think, targeting the groups and targeting those who have expressed interest in the general plan update. But if there are others who feel that they have been missed or would just like to provide information or context, we're happy to hear from you. And so please get in touch with us, 533-5633. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, no other public comment. Board's fine. I'll bring it back for a motion.
Move on staff recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Rutherford, second by Supervisor Brennan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Clerk, please read our 11 o'clock appointment.
This is a closed session, public employee appointment, Authority Government Code Section 54957B1, and that title is Health Officer.
Any public comment on our closed session?
Please hire a good one who can outreach to the public and be as fabulous as Todd Stolp was, and will deal with our flu epidemic so we don't have any more people dying. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to join to closed session.
Test 1 2, check 1 2, test 1 2. Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2.
to reconvene the Board of Supervisors meeting of January 16, 2018. We're returned from closed session, have nothing to report. Will the clerk please read our 1:30 agenda item?
This is consideration of approving the Mental Health Services Act 3-year program and expenditure plan.
All right, it's all yours.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you for having us today. I'm Christy Conforti, Mental Health Services Act Coordinator for Tuolumne County Behavioral Health Department, and I'm joined by Mr. Steve Boyack.
Right, so Steve Boyack, Acting Behavioral Health Director.
Okay, thank you so much for your time today. I know in the interest of time, we'll keep it brief but informative. So this is the 3-year plan. Every third year we do a 3-year plan, and then we just do updates as we go. It is a live-in, breathing document, so it is changeable, which is what we want. So the budget, just to give you a perspective between the overall behavioral health budget and MHSA, we're about a third. That's been consistent as long as I've been here, about 4 years. And I believe we're still on track for that same sort of scale. Okay, and as you know, MHSA has components, and there are 5 main components. The first is community supports and services. I'll talk about each of these as we go, of course, but that's 80% of the total funds that we receive. Prevention and early intervention is up to at least 15%. Innovation is 5%. And then that's sort of based on if we have an innovation project or not, then we can put that into PEI. Workforce education and training and CAFTN, capital facilities and technologies, those were one-time lump sums. So we've expended those funds, but we can transfer from CSS into either of those if we have projects that we want to continue. And we can also transfer into prudent reserve if we need to plan for future projects or just to hold money for system improvements. So the first component is CSS, Community Supports and Services, specifically targeted to all ages that are suffering from a serious mental illness. So 0 to 5, youth 16 to 14, transitional age, that's transitional age youth, adults 25 to 59, and then older adults 60 and over. Each one of these components have to address a specific category. So CSS has full service partnership, outreach and engagement, and general systems development that includes the peer support method and the benefits and resources and crisis programs. So the largest component within CSS is full service partnership. That needs to be a minimum of 50% of the CSS budget that we receive. So those are intensive one-on-one services. It's a wraparound, whatever it takes for that particular client. They have a strict criteria that needs to be met. Homeless, at risk of homelessness, frequent psychiatric hospitalizations or at risk of that again, and a serious mental illness. It's very client-focused, so the client is very participatory in their plan of care. They set goals, they have targets they want to meet, and they work with the case manager and the clinician on those goals. For FY 16-17, we served 69 clients in some capacity, some shorter, some longer term, and an average cost of $10,945 per client. We did have a rise in our locus completion rates. The locus is a measurement tool used to sort of see if we are providing the level of care that those clients need. So we did have an increase in staff completing those, and that resulted in it's a 6 categories that they measure, and there was an increase or an improvement in engagement, which is their sort of understanding of their illness and their willingness to have treatment and participate in the process. And then the comorbidity piece is complications for coexisting, co-occurring disorders. So if they have an addiction along with their mental illness. So there was a small improvement in each of those categories. So for 17-18, we have more solutions to collect even more meaningful data. We're looking at, we have a designated administrative support staff who will just be, her position is going to be, a portion of her time is just for data entry, because that's It's a time-intensive piece, and we don't want to take that time away from a case manager who could be providing supports. So we now have administrative staff to do those duties. We also are looking at implementation of a business intelligence software through Microsoft. This is going to allow us to take those locus scores and more easily aggregate and visualize the changes in those different categories that I mentioned. This is going to allow us to compare performance measures side by side and over time, so we can see how clients are progressing or regressing, whatever the case may be. We're also looking at implementing that in the late 17-18 timeframe, and also looking at a thing called MORS. It's called Milestones of Recovery Scale. That is a simple, easy-to-use recovery-based measurement tool. So we're seeing actual progression and outcomes from the client on a recovery scale, and that can also be used to determine the levels of services that we're providing, and are they appropriate and are they working. That one we did a pilot test, or we're doing a pilot test later this year, latest fiscal year. So we're hoping those will help to provide more meaningful outcomes. And we also have a full-time peer specialist. Previously, we only had relief staff, so now we have a full-time peer specialist able to consistently support clients on a regular basis. So the next component of CSS is outreach and engagement. This is, to outreach to those populations who might be at risk, they're not being served, they're underserved, any of those things. We partner with faith-based organizations, community organizations to reach out to those in the community. We have a benefits and resources specialist who's housed at the EC, and she can get referrals from Salvation Army or DRAIL or anybody in the community, and she does a strict criteria. If they meet our criteria as having a serious mental illness and being a behavioral health client, she will help that person. If they don't, she'll put them in the direction of somebody who can. So she's an entry point, really, for behavioral health services. And her average cost per person was $69. She reached over 1,000, I think it was 1,200, something like that. I apologize for not having that at my fingertips. For fiscal year 17-18, we are moving the Smile Keepers component that was previously under the Innovation Project. That project ended, which we'll talk about later, but we moved that into CSS as an additional outreach. So they provide services at the Enrichment Center, and they are already gathering people, having people come in that didn't previously come. So we're able to hook that person up with a peer specialist or with the benefits resources coordinator, and potentially have more people coming into the system and through the doors. We also have various new peer specialist positions. We have somebody located out at Columbia Junior College, Community College. She's doing some recovery groups and peer support groups on campus. And then we have a substance use disorder peer specialist who's working with those with co-occurring disorders, and a community outreach peer specialist who's going into places like Rotary, Lions Club, to the stigma reduction piece, telling her story and taking questions and talking about what behavioral health does and her personal experiences. And that's been really, we've had people come to us now requesting her to go speak. And then we have another benefits and resources, specifically peer specialist, who is supporting the SOAR program, which we'll talk about a little bit. That was the grant funded through Centene Foundation for Healthcare. And so he's sort of helping the benefits and resources specialist, because the increase in people coming through the doors needing that assistance justifies that additional help. So then under general systems development, that's where the peer support services lies. We have the Enrichment Center, of course, completely peer-run, peer-led, peer-facilitated support groups, one-on-one or group supports. People have a safe place to talk. It's supportive, non-judgmental. And new for this year, we're looking at a WRAP, which is the Wellness Recovery Action Plan. We have certified WRAP facilitators now, and we're going to have 2 more going through a training coming up in February. So we're able to provide that. as well as an additional grief group and dealing with life issues, that type of stuff, and also a professional development to help those who are seeking employment to get their resumes together or prepare for interviews. There was a large increase in the attendance, 5% over last year. So we had 619 unduplicated people coming through the door and a total of 3875 coming through the door repeatedly or once or twice or however long. So it's about $76 per person coming through. We've seen an uptick there, as well as the Lambert Center, which is the homeless drop-in supports. They had a much larger increase, and we're not sure if word is getting out or if there's just more of a need for those services. So we're recognizing that as a area where we can further address supports. And also we work very closely, of course, they send people to the enrichment center if they're willing to come and receive services and get additional help. So also under general service development is our crisis assessment intervention program, CAPE, so our walk-in and phone services. If anybody's experiencing a crisis or whatever to them is the crisis that they're dealing with. We did transition from the 24/7 staffed supports at behavioral health to a modified schedule where we're there until 10 p.m. and then we have phone supports through a crisis line. We also have the on-site person at the hospital, so we're not available, we're just available in a different way. And it's also allowing CAPE to participate in the all-staff trainings that they weren't able to do before because they had to fully staff that line. So they're going to have their very first team building activity because they're able to do that, to have the phones rolled and be able to participate in other ways. So they had 1,135 unduplicated contacts and $517 per client. So prevention and early intervention, and that's 15 to 20% of the budget again. It's to reach those that are at risk before they need our services. So we like to be able to wrap around them and provide information and give them resources before they even need to come through our door. So we have several different components to PEI. One is our early childhood education project number 1. This one has a number 1 because there's more than one early childhood education project. This one specifically is nurturing parenting provided by ISIS, Infant Child Enrichment Services. They do nurturing parenting classes to the community, specifically for DDC, drug dependency court participants, and general community members. They provide home visiting services, so they'll go into somebody's home, and it's a comfortable place for those clients to receive the supports that they're looking for. In 16-17, they're consistently having 80% of their participants improving in their parenting skills. So it's an evidence-based project, and it is showing results. They also implemented new for this year specific parenting classes for LGBTQ, parents of LGBTQ youth, and also for single fathers. Those were 2 categories found to be in need, and they're going to continue those for 17-18 as well. They're also looking at, because the home visiting is so popular, but it is so expensive, they're trying to find some solutions on how they can continue to serve at a lesser cost. Next is the Early Childhood Education Project number 2, which is the Social Emotional Learning Foundation's SELF program, and that is a contract through County Schools Office, and First 5 really does that work. It's 0 to 5 age group, specifically targeted to those that are having behavioral issues, so they get the screening immediately so we can catch that problem early before it worsens. We can do interventions with their behaviors. They have one-on-one supports with the parents, with the teachers, and with the children, and then the coaching and the training that the teachers and parents receive. They have the highlights for 16-17 was, 50% remain stable, and that's actually a good thing because if they're not regressing and not causing problems, we consider that a success. 25% of the kids left the program, we don't know why. Parental choice, didn't want to hear that their child had an issue, or they just went somewhere else, we're not sure. And then 19% went to a special education preschool, so they're receiving additional supports there. And then a third one we're introducing for this year, early childhood education, is a collaboration with Tuolumne County Child Welfare Services, with the implementation of the visitation center, and the mental health administration offices co-located on the behavioral health campus. It gives us an opportunity to reach out to more of those targeted families that may be experiencing a high risk of needing parenting services. So we're helping to fund an AmeriCorps family support staff, and they'll be doing, it's prevention driven, so it fits into our PEI category. They're strengthening parenting skills and building confidence through one-on-one supports or small groups. They can work specifically on the areas that that particular family or parent or caregiver needs help with. And they use the same curriculum for nurturing parenting and also strengthening families. They're also going to be participating in community events to help reduce stigma of the child welfare system as well. The next one is our school-based violence prevention, and that is through Center for Nonviolent Community. That was really focused on bullying the last few years. Over time, we've learned that most kids know what bullying is, so how can we work to build up those students so they understand how they can react to it? So it's more of a, not so much bullying awareness, but reducing these incidents that occur in the school. So they do this by having these targeted workshops. You'll see the understanding empathy, the pre and post surveys. It was a huge increase in kids just even understanding what empathy was. So if they see something happening to a classmate or a friend, they'll be able to be empathetic towards them and help them in that way. Same with sexual harassment. They're working on building healthy relationships, and it's that particular workshop was targeted to 5th through 8th grade students because it's occurring younger and younger. So it's a sexual harassment workshops, awareness, prevention, and understanding what a healthy relationship is. And so that one was huge results with them increasing their knowledge of even what sexual harassment was. So they may think a specific behavior in a relationship is acceptable. After these workshops, they're learning that it's not. And that one we're continuing with those same projects. And some of you may have gotten the opportunity to see the Visions and Voices and Visions documentary that they created. It's an amazing piece of work. It takes students from several different schools in the community, and they talk about their struggles with bullying, how they react to it, how they deal with it, and just the perceptions of some of the other students on campus. They don't see a bullying problem. Just really super powerful documentary. I know that Laura Sunday is planning on hosting a screening. She's just trying to figure out a time and a location. So we'll keep you posted on that, because if you haven't seen it, it's a great film. Okay. So the next one is our suicide prevention. We're continuing to train community members to be suicide aware and to feel comfortable talking about it, to feel comfortable intervening and asking the question, are you having thoughts of suicide? Because that's a simple question like that can keep somebody from taking that next step. We have several trainings there. The ASSIST is applied suicide intervention skills. Safe Talk is just a basic understanding how to talk to somebody about suicide prevention. And then our mental health first aid and youth mental health first aid to get that extra sort of equivalent to physical health first aid. And it's 100% of the time people that take these surveys would recognize what that looks like. They'd reach out and talk to somebody, and they would help. For 17-18, and we have 2 new trained facilitators to deliver those trainings, so the demand keeps coming up, and now we have the ability to provide more classes. 17-18, working on that collaboration with Columbia Community College and having a peer specialist on site there has already been instrumental in the communication building. So they're having a mental health first aid training there at the end of this month, and then a Safe Talk training in March. So they're getting their staff and students suicide awareness trained. our older adult outreach program is through Catholic Charities. So that is a continuing program. They call it Connections and Awareness for Elders, so CAFE for short. So they have annually put on this elder abuse conference. Some of you have probably attended. It continues to grow, and they tackle, controversial subjects on how people are being targeted, how older adults are being abused, and what people can do to intervene and to help those older adults. For the home visiting piece of it, they had an 83% increase in positive indicators. So they would, the peer counselors, when they go to the home, they talk with the participants and they ask them questions. So the pre and the post, the positive indicators are things like, alertness and attitude and demeanor. How are they feeling? And that 83% are feeling better after the visits. That's a very, subjective measurement. So for 17-18, they're going to introduce the geriatric depression scale, which is just a more evidence-based basic screening for depression. They've also increased their referrals to behavioral health or to other community resources, 54 in this year versus 15 last year. So they're making more of an effort to reach out and engage people into additional services. So then we have our Latino outreach, our Promotores de Salud with ATCA, and they have also increased their referrals into behavioral health and to CNBC and to other community resources by 33% from last year. They've always done these informational presentations around the community, and historically it's been mostly Latinos attending those informational sessions. So this past year it was interesting to note that 70% of their participants in those programs were non-Hispanic. So we're able to communicate more what the Latino population is experiencing and sort of reduce that stigma for them and help understanding around their struggles. So one of their main struggles that the promotores continue to deal with is Medi-Cal eligibility. As you know, there are a lot of undocumented Latino Americans, so they only have emergency Medi-Cal. So they can get in for crisis services, but they can't really get in for the continuous ongoing treatment that they need that would help prevent further issues. So Promotores has recently partnered with some legal consulting services and also some immigration not support, I guess, from a state and federal level to help families start the process on what they can do to either become a citizen, to get those supports, to start the process, and what they do with their families and what they can do with their kids and all of that. So they're really working to try to get people to take the next steps to get the legal documentation that they need. So Native American Outreach is through Tuolumne Miwok Indian Health Care Center. They continue to have high responses to the Sweat Lodge. They've experienced a lot more of the transitional age youth going to the Sweat Lodge as well. So they're that's nice for them to be able to carry down that tradition to the younger residents. We have a full-time substance abuse counselor in the jail. So this past year, they worked with 111 inmates. It's nice because they could do pre-release planning and get them hooked up to support groups and behavioral health or whatever they need before they get out, so that they're not just out and not knowing what to do or where to go. So it's been, we're going to be tracking that a little bit more. Obviously, this was kind of the first year to have that, so we're hoping to be able to provide more information on that next year. And then for 17-18, they are getting a lot more requests for educational supports and individual education plans. So a lot more either families are qualifying for these services or they're aware of them now, but they're seeing a lot more families come and say, my children need help. And then they're going to continue their outreach to the transitional age youth with the Sweat Lodge, and they talk about other, Native American cultural things that they want to keep their youth involved in. Then we have our Fostering Healthy Activities in Non-Traditional Settings, which is our Jamestown Family Resource Center Trauma-Informed Care Program. They are the first trauma-informed care school in the county. They have just, I think, a quarter of their staff that's left to be trained. So they're working on that for this year. They have 97% attendance rate for homeless students, and that includes any student who does not have a fixed, regular, adequate nighttime residence. So they could be couch surfing, but they aren't living in a home consistently. So it could be, he said they've found living in abandoned buildings, that is considered homeless, anywhere that's not a sustainable, regular, supportive place to live. Overall decrease in suspensions is 51%, so it was 41% in the first year and then 10% this last year. So, we worry that how are we going to reduce that even more, but it's a slow process, so that's a big decrease for 2 years. And then, so for this year, they're going to complete the staff training, and that one is a $307 cost per person. Then we have our statewide programs. So we have, through Cal Mesa, we allocate 5% of our PEI funds to support things like suicide prevention, which is the Know the Signs. You see all the marketing materials we are able to get for that program for suicide prevention. Our student mental health is the Directing Change initiative, and that's a 60-second public service announcement about suicide, stigma, or any mental health related issue. And it's for high school and college students. And we are going to have our first submission from Tuolumne County this year, so I'm really excited about that. We've never had a student participate, but this year we do. And then for the Each by Matters does the stigma reduction, so we get marketing materials through them. We have the green ribbons, keychains, that they've supported some of our Mental Health Awareness Month events in the past. So new for this year, because we have to have regulations, that MHSOAC, the Mental Health Services Oversight and Accountability Commission, through California Code of Regulations, Title IX, 3560.010, are requiring counties to collect specific demographic data for all of our prevention and early intervention programs. So their goals for this are really, accountability. Who are you serving? Are you reaching out? Are you matching like your county demographics? And are you reaching out to all walks of life, so to speak? Some of the things they're looking for, race, ethnicity, age, sexual orientation, gender. There's some sensitive things that they're looking for. So we had some concerns, specifically small counties, with HIPAA and violating somebody's privacy. So we worked with the MHSOAC, and they have allowed small counties to report our demographics on a whole instead of per program. So for this 16-17 year, this is what we collected. This is for 7 of the programs. We haven't delved into all of the different requirements they're asking for. We're working on that now. I'm working with our PEI partners to come up with a respectful way to ask some of these questions. And we fully recognize that a demographic form is voluntary, so we can't force somebody to fill it out, but the state just wants us to know that, wants us to try. So we can fill it, we can ask for it, and what we get back is what we get back. But we're definitely lumping these all together because there could be a race where it's narrowed down to one program that could be identifiable. I know who that family is, so we want to be able to protect everybody that way. Okay, then we have our innovation program, and innovation is a learning program, so it's something that hasn't been done or that hasn't been done in a small county, or just a learning-based, trying something on type of program. So we're just wrapping up the Wellness One Mind, One Body project that was from FY 14-15 through June 30th of 2017. That's where I referenced the dental services, and we've moved those over to CSS through outreach and engagement. And we've also changed the peer specialist support into that same category as well, so they can continue to provide the help with getting access to physical health care providers, which was one of the components that was worked on in that project. We're working on another one with Mark Dyken at Jamestown Family Resource Center to, we've called it Building a Compassionate Response to Trauma in a Rural Community. So We've done a lot of research. Nothing like this is being done. We're sort of taking the components of trauma-informed care, building resiliency, restorative justice, positive behavior intervention services, and sort of bringing everything together. There's a resiliency committee that meets that's made up of a lot of educators and counselors and addressing the trauma that youth are experiencing. So we're going to build with them. We're going to work with the YES partnership as well, and just try to get a sort of a model on how we can recognize trauma in a child instead of being punitive justice. We look at why they're acting that way, not, oh, they're acting that way, this is a problem. Why are they acting that way? So we're just in the planning stages right now, and we hope to have that presented to you and approved in time for the 18-19 school year. So soon, hopefully. Okay, then we have workforce education and training. And that one we provide trainings, education, and it's for our workforce, it's for potential workforce, it's for the community to be educated on mental health issues. The cultural competency piece, we need to have our clinicians and health professionals understand, language preference, cultural yeses and nos, so that they can provide services that are most comfortable to the client receiving them. Those things include like trainings on diversity, LGBTQ, Native American, Latino, anything that we can get presentations in to talk about culturally competent practices. We also have our residency and internship programs. People can get assistance with a student loan if they're working in a hard-to-fill position in the county. So some of our clinical staff are helping get their MSW programs funded. We also have our integration of peers into the workforce. We've built up our peer staff. I mentioned we have a full-time one now. So we're actually ahead of the game from a lot of other counties in that respect also. HealthLit Now is a project targeted towards schools ages 7th through 9th grade, and they go in and they present these different workshops on health and wellness, and then they talk about careers that are associated with those different components of health. And so it's sort of thinking outside the box, showing students you don't have to just be a doctor or a nurse. Here's all these other opportunities that are tied to that. So we've provided a one-time grant to that program for this year. And then for 17 and 18, our biggest challenge is that we had a workforce education training regional program that had money that had been allocated back in the beginning of MHSA. That money is running out, and it will end at the end of this fiscal year. And the impact to us, most painful impact, is going to be the loss of our roving supervisor program, and that's the person that comes in and supervises our clinical staff to help them earn their hours to get their licensure or to keep their licensure. So we are looking at several options to alleviate that situation, whether we have a contract with somebody or how that's going to work. But we're addressing it now so that we're not left in the lurch when July 1st comes. And then this year we are transferring $75,000 from CSS because we need to pay for those trainings and potentially pay for a supervisor to come in and work with our staff. So then we have our capital facilities and technologies. And that is, anything that's related to building or renovating or technical support. So we've been having this ongoing fencing project at the behavioral health campus. So I think we're just waiting on a gate to finish that up. And then in the parking lot. And then for the technologies piece, it's just continued IT supports if we have computers for staff, and also an upgrade for our electronic health records system. And we are transferring $125,000 from CSS into CAFTN this year as well. So then we have our permanent supportive housing. As you know, we have Washington Street, 6 bedrooms, and then Cabrini, which is 5 bedrooms. Nothing's changing with those. Funding for Washington Street is in place through our Cal HFA loan that we received, and that's expected to last another 10 years or so. Cabrini House, as you know, we own that. The board of the housing board owns that house, and we sustain that through FSP since all of the residents in that house are on the FSP program. So then we have some other MHSA programs. One is SB 82, which is sort of a few different phases. The Mental Health Wellness Act of 2013 started out, it was a competitive grant process for the crisis triage services. Tuolumne County was one of the counties that was awarded that grant. It was to reduce the hospitalization, ER visits or hospitalizations, and to help law enforcement to deal with some of the mental health issues that they're having in the field. So those are going through June of this year. And then they just released a RFA for Phase 2 to continue those through 2021. And we completed our intent to apply for that grant, and that is due on March 9th. So we'll be working on that to try to get those funds to continue that program. It's going to be the same as Phase 1, but they added a specific focus on the transitional age youth population. And then the second part of SB 82 is the Crisis Residential Unit, or the CRU. We have a multi-county collaboration that we're a part of with Calaveras, Madera, Merced, Mariposa, and Stanislaus, with a crisis residential unit located in Merced. And then through the project, we were allocated funding to purchase a vehicle so we can take people back and forth. It's a 30-day stay, and it's meant to get those people who don't quite qualify for hospitalization, but we know that we need to provide them a higher level of support than just letting them go from the ER. And it also funds some basic technology needs to help clients be able to communicate with their family or with behavioral health from the residential unit while they're there. So another one is, oh, that was my bill, darn it. Our No Place Like Home, that was the statewide $2 billion program to, it was a Senate bill, trailer Senate bill, I believe, to take money off the top of MHSA funds. For us, that's about $300,000 a year. Off the top, we'd have to figure out what that would come out of. So we're partnering with Community Resources Agency, Sheila Shanahan, and we're in discussions with Stanislaus Housing Authority, the Continuum of Care, and a new collaborative called the Regional Foothills Housing Coalition, and that's basically comprised of all the counties that Stanislaus County Housing Authority supports. So it's Alpine, Amador, Calaveras, Inyo, Mariposa, Mono, Stanislaus, and Tuolumne. We've met just once because right now we're moving forward with the TA grant, which is the $75,000 grant, which we just got the contract for, that we have to sign and say, yes, here's what we're going to do. That includes the homeless plan, identifying a site, doing any capacity building we'd need to do to fulfill this program. And we are moving forward with that. We are talking about a couple of sites, I think, that have been looked at, and then we're starting to look at the development of that housing or homeless plan and how that's going to look. The non-competitive and competitive projects right now are on hold, I guess, because there are some legal behind-the-scenes things happening with this entire program. Bless you. So as you know, we post the plan for a 30-day public comment period, and then we have our public hearing. So we did receive some public comments for this plan, both while it was posted and then at the public hearing. There were a few people, probation and the college were requesting additional supports with mental health clinical services, so for the veterans and for probation. Several community members experienced concerns over the homeless situation in our community. So they specifically mentioned housing, and then some were like, well, we need a community collaboration to work on this program, and then outreach. Can we do more outreach to bring people in? Under community services and supports, we had a previous program, Bright Beginnings, that somebody thought we should bring back. And I'm not sure that's feasible, but it was a comment that was made. And then our prevention and early intervention, an appreciation of the partnership, and that was from ISIS, appreciating the work we do together. So that was basically it.
So you guys have nothing going on at all?
Nope.
Board comments, questions?
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay.
I'll wait.
You'll wait? Okay, any public comment?
Well, Christy, that was just a fine job.
Thank you.
And very good information. I'm a little concerned about some of the high prices of some of our services, but my main concern has to do with community outreach. Because as I'm going around, there's a lot of people who have no clue that we even have behavioral or mental health services here. So I think we need to do some focusing on that. So I have reached out to, I guess they're my favorite today, Collect Broadcasting, and asked them to do a Motherlode Views, and I want an hour on mental health issues in our community and invite some of the families and law enforcement, and everybody gets a little 15 minutes or whatever, but really do a nice program. And I've asked the Union Democrat to invite someone from behavioral health or some sort of mental health services to maybe do a little weekly column like we do on the issues at the senior center and talk about some mental health issues in our community. But I think we need more conversation. And then once again, I want to give a shout out to Carl Rodefer, who I think has really stepped up in this area, and Mr. Boyack, with all love and respect. I know this hasn't been easy for you, but, you know, I still have some issues on our meeting the needs of people in crisis. And, you know, my latest story is the murder-suicide that took place at the beginning of December, because that was a disabled son taking care of his elderly parents. The father died last summer, and he became increasingly isolated and apparently increasingly unable to cope. So he ended up killing his mother, himself, and their 2 cats. So I don't know if, you know, people didn't reach out to him in the neighborhood, or they didn't notice, or he didn't know where he could get services, but I'm concerned when someone decides to take out their entire family when they could reach out for help instead. So, and then we had the incident with the potential suicide by cop in the city of Sonora, you know, where someone wanted to do this to draw attention to the fact that his needs weren't being met by behavioral health. So that's not a way to get mental health services either. So I think we need some improvement in that area. But I'm very impressed with some of the other statistics. So thank you.
Excuse me, anyone else wish to speak? Seeing no one, bring it back to the board. Carl?
Well, I appreciate the compliment. I also I appreciate all the comments. One of the real challenges, and I see this not just in our Health and Human Services Department and in behavioral health, I see it in my work with ATCA and several other areas in the county. We have a whole lot of services that are available. And I'm not trying to imply that there are services going wanting. I don't think there really are. We've got as we talked about earlier today, we've got an incredible community, a wonderful place to live, because truthfully, I really believe that if you're in need in Tuolumne County, there's someone that will help you. I really do believe that. The challenge is getting the person or persons that are in need and the right people that have a service that can help them plugged into each other. That's a real challenge because, quite frankly, in many cases, the services are fragmented. Some of them are a product of government or a quasi-governmental agencies like ATCA. Some of them are in the private sector. Our hospital is an example. Some of them are in county, but it's not in Health and Human Services Department. It's in the Sheriff's Department, or it's, somewhere else. And it'd be really, really nice if you could go to like Google Maps, and there was a nice little map with all the roadways and everything, and the destinations on it, and you could type in your address and your need, and it would show you where to go and who to talk to. But that really doesn't exist, and if somebody can figure out how to do that, it would be a great service. But I think that's one of our real big challenges. I want to thank you for the presentation. It was very informative. It's really, really good. But I do want to challenge, and it's not just the behavioral health staff. It's really the ATCA staff. It's really our private sector, faith-based and other nonprofit-based people that provide services. It's the city, Ms. Mayor, and we all are kind of in this together. Let's figure out a way to knit this fabric a little bit tighter. I think that's the real challenge to us going forward. Again, great presentation. Thank you very much. I think we're doing a lot of things really well. I think there's some things that we can improve on, and so that's the challenge. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments, because we've talked about this, I know for 3 of my 5 years at length, about the services that are available, but how do you get the word out there? And that really is a huge piece of this conversation. 2 other points, because we've been hearing about it at some of our morning sessions. And in listening to this report and listening to the partnerships, they're critical to our success. And I saw the little logos, and whether it's First 5 or working with Area 12, a tremendous effort and a huge part of our success. There was an effort this last year, a legislative effort, to actually, that would have prevented us from using those partnerships. And it was because of work on what local county supervisors did with our state organizations, because it would have hurt rural counties most. We stood the most to lose. And we were able to make that argument with our suburban and urban partners so that they joined us in a unanimous effort to see that legislation fail. Those kinds of activities are crucial to the success and our ability to provide services. And so I just, again, because this conversation has come up in a number of our morning sessions, I really feel like it's important to highlight when we can. There are so many examples of where the success of working with, working regionally, working at the state level and at the national level brings so many benefits back to our counties. And that was just one when you were doing your report, and I saw all of those organizations highlighted. So good job. I would really, though, agree with Supervisor Rotifer's analysis on how do we get that word out. How there are resources. How do we get that in the community? It's a tough one, and we've had this conversation before. I know you and I have.
Well, it's funny that you mention it, because I was involved in leadership Tuolumne County, right? And so I facilitated the Health and Human Services Day for that program. And so we went through the whole day, interfaith, child welfare, behavioral health, all of these different programs and services. And somebody at the end says, well, that's great, but I have no idea, where to find that information. So he actually asked for a flow chart, something like, who does what, and then how it gets sent somewhere else. But I think it would be possible to come up with something like what you're talking about, with other agencies and with other county entities and with other community partners.
That's accessible to
Yeah.
folks that need.
Right. That's the key.
Well, and I think that's why, as strange as this may sound to some people, it won't sound strange to a lot of people. That's why law enforcement is such a key cog in this wheel, because when most people have a problem or a crisis, they dial 911. Okay, so guess who? Very often, the first person on the scene is one of our sheriff's deputies. So it's important. They're very well trained, and they do, by and large, a really good job of stabilizing the situation and getting the right people involved. But does that mean that things don't slip through the crack? No, it doesn't, and we can do better. But I appreciate your thoughts on that, and this is something that I think that the Behavioral Health Advisory Committee is going to be struggling with in the coming year, because, quite frankly, indirectly, I've kind of asked them to do that. So how do we put together a network, a well-knit network of services? Because government can't do it all. Okay, quite frankly, government shouldn't do it all, in my view. Some will disagree with that, but there's not enough tax dollars in the state for government to do everything everywhere. So it's going to take a partnership. The key is, how do we weave those puzzle pieces into a well put together puzzle.
Anybody else? Evan?
Just a question. I was particularly interested in the information about elder abuse, something I've been concerned with, especially with the demographics in our county. And the information you're dealing with here, is this more like physical, mental abuse, or is this also financial, like scams? What's the depth and breadth of the focus of this portion?
So
what's been the mission and focus as far as you guys?
So in terms of our prevention early intervention project with older adults, it's to reduce the isolation and the depression that people are experiencing. But the elder abuse conference is what Catholic Charities usually runs, and they address all types of potential elder abuse issues. So they've talked about internet security and the scams that people try to. So it's an educational, informative. Did you attend last year?
I didn't.
Because we'll make sure you get the invitation.
I want to make
for
sure,
this
yeah.
year. Yeah.
I want to be there.
We'll make sure we get you the invitation. It's always in June.
Supervisor, I might add, too, that there is an effort through the district attorney's office to examine these types of issues more closely and coordinate with other partnering agencies that bring a collaborative together to focus on elder abuse in our community, which would encompass...
Abuse and neglect?
Yes, all of those things.
Okay. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Yes. Assuming that there's not much other comment, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the Behavioral Health Department's 3-year program and expenditure plan, fiscal year 2017 through 20.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Roder for a second by Supervisor Brennan. Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That brings me item 12.
Reports.
Rico?
Okay, three things. First, state budget. I was up in my association's meeting in Sacramento last week. Had CSAC staff just the day after the state budget came out. I'm not going to reiterate a lot of the stuff's been in the press, but just to hit a couple points is that the state really is doing well from a cash standpoint. They've got dollars coming in, sales tax, income tax, things they are doing pretty well. What does that mean? We will be seeing increased realignment funding, which is good news for our HSA departments. But IHSS in particular, in the short term, it's going to take, meaning the next couple of years, it's going to take some of the pressure off. It does not address the long term, but it should help greatly diminish things in the near term. And that was really good news. Was that? I'll come back and okay, that's all right. That's all right. But anyway, that was good news unto itself. The courthouse, that is reality. again, what's the difference between this last year when the courthouse was in the budget and this year when it's in the governor's budget again? The difference is that the governor is willing to put general fund dollars, into the hopper in order to actually fund our project as well as several others. So that's really, really good news. One thing the board's always asking, what can we do? Okay, got one for you. So the governor's taking a lot of this new income, and what he's doing is he's overfunding his own rainy day fund targets. And one of the eligible expenditures for some of that rainy day money is some past due SB 90 mandate reimbursements. Some board members may remember that we did get one hunk a few years ago. Well, there's another installment that is due. So that's something we need to get our card on the table. Well, all of us do in the county family, because that money's there. It's owed us. It's one time. It matches up with his rainy day, dollars. It is an eligible reimbursement, and that was a point made by the CSAC staff. Second, just really quick, at several members' requests, I did go to the HPRC meeting a week ago and just opened up a dialogue with the HPRC about, are there ways that we can more speedily get through some of the projects that come before them? Can we look at a bigger picture instead of some of the detailed types of things that they do spend a lot of time looking into? It was trying to come up with a vehicle to have a good dialogue, because I started it and ended it with what I've heard from each of you. You all appreciate the role of the HPRC. That's not the issue. It's sometimes the time it takes to get projects through some of the details that get discussed. And anyway, they were open to having a dialogue to try and hone in on what can be done better. There's things, as I talked with them, there's things that their own committee members wanted to look into. And I won't take the time here today, but one of the suggestions was to actually have now we have a chairman for the year in place, is to establish a ad hoc committee that would work with a subset of the HPRC, where you could have a good dialogue one-on-one. I don't think there would be a long-lived ad hoc committee, but that was one suggestion as a way to have a good face-to-face on these issues, and then they could act maybe more precisely to address some of the concerns. So
I think it'd be a good idea. I would probably like to appoint myself. Supervisor Rutherford, would you be open to? Sure. And we'll leave it up to you to figure out when and where and how we can put it together with everybody's schedule.
Great. Okay, that's responsiveness. I was just reporting, but it's done. That's good. And the last thing I just want to let you know, I think the board knows there's so many things that people are working on all over the county right now, but I got to say, the next 6 weeks, things are just an overdrive. All departments are involved in our mid-year budget reviews. Right on the heels of that is our earliest look ever at the next year's budget, the fiscal 18-19 budget, and right on the heels of that is our multi-year forecast. And so all that's in motion. At the same time, we're working on the financing for law and justice things, and those have some very rigid deadlines. We've got meetings tomorrow morning and getting ready to go before S&P for our rating. And then next month, documents coming to your board, and then going out to the market and closing that financial deal. Very important. Really got to pay attention to that. It's super important, both the near and the long term. The work on the jail continues, NDRC continues, our technology projects are all launching, the big ones that you just approved those contracts for. Those are launching at the same time, affecting numerous departments right now. And in between, just as a nice mixer, is the planning for our retreat this year. So there's just a lot of stuff going on. Just wanted to share that with you. So if you could just show a little sensitivity to that, that'd be appreciated. That's it.
Supervisor Hanvelt.
It's not overdrive, it's overload. Yeah, a couple of things. I participated in a couple of NACO calls last week with public land use and with the Western Caucus. There's a big move in Washington, a lot of how shall I say, lack of direction, confusion, but there's a move to make PILT permanent, not one of these things we go to fight it every year, which would be just delightful. I mean, I think about the energy used in that. PILT and fully funded and indexed. And there, as much as I'm amazed, there is still some effort going on and some hope left for SRS. So I'm going, never say die. But anyway, those are both good news stuff. It's still going on. So RCRC's tomorrow. I already sent a note on your SB 90 thing, and we'll see what happens.
Supervisor Brennan.
Yeah, had one of those conversations on SRS, and I'd say, well, it's not dead, it's still withering. So I was contacted by Supervisor Perez, who is the incoming president for the California State Association of Counties. She asked if I would stay on as the vice chair for the Ag and Natural Resource Committee, and I did accept that, so I will be adding that, continuing that in my list of duties. And then the other thing that I just wanted to mention real quickly is that this evening is the Sonora Chamber of Commerce Mixer. It begins at 5:30. It will be at Workplace Sonora, which is at 320 West Stockton Street. And just want to invite anyone, as they say, that wants to come meet, mix, mingle, network, and share with other businesses, come in and join them. That begins at 5:30 this evening.
Supervisor Royce. Supervisor Rotifer.
Sure. Short week between the last meeting, but I did, as Supervisor Hanvelt did as well, although mine were slightly different. I was on 2 NACO conference calls this week, the same Western Region call that he was on, but also the environment, energy, environment, and land use. I think there's a lot of hope at the national level that this year will be at least slightly more productive than last year in Congress. Things seem to be settling out in terms of appointments. The top level appointments in the Trump administration are starting to shake out. The 2 big issues at the national level right now, and in terms of national issues, really number one is the opioid crisis, and I think that that is number one on NACO's radar. It certainly has a lot of implications for us. It is a policy platform issue for NACO. I'm not sure what action that will engender in Congress this year, but it is just a really serious issue. And as I've said before, the feeling, I think, fairly universally among county supervisors across the nation is that it's not like other drug addictions, in that other drug addictions, illegal drug addictions such as cocaine and heroin and those kinds of things, typically are personal choice issues. They chose to take an illegal drug and they got themselves hooked on it. The opioid crisis is different in that most people got hooked on opioids by following the advice of the person outside their family and close friends that they trust the most, which is their family doctor. So there's a little bit different cause and effect relationship there, and there's a lot more sympathy, I think, across all political boundaries for the opioid addicted individuals. Anyway, that's the big one. I will say that the one of the real advantages of NACO is that if you take a look at and we're represented by counties. It's like the U.S. Senate, okay? We're not represented by population. We're represented by counties. We vote by population a little bit, but our representation is by counties. And the overwhelming number of counties in the United States are rural counties. And that's where we have a real significant advantage at the national level by working through NACO. And a large number of those rural counties are western rural counties, which even more than the eastern rural counties share almost one for one the same issues that we do. And so we're working those things. Other than that, that's my report.
County Council.
Nothing to report.
Clerk. All right, the only thing I want to talk about a little bit is NDRC. We have issued a request for land for those projects. So if you're sitting on a real nice big piece of property you want to give to Tuolumne County, we will listen. So that's my report. Would the clerk please read our number 13, our closed session item?
That is closed session conference with labor negotiators Craig Pedro and Ann Fremd, Authority Government Code Section 54957.6, in-home supportive services bargaining unit.
Public comment? Seeing none, do we expect to report anything out? Okay. Good, we're going to adjourn to closed session.